Lipscomb Bison's baseball is on the air. Good afternoon. This is Doc Allen coming to you live from beautiful Ken Dugan Field at Stephen Lee Marsh Stadium on the campus of Lipscomb University in Nashville, Tennessee, as we get set to bring you college baseball action between Creighton University and the homestanding Lipscomb Bisons. The first game of a split two-game series with the teams playing one game today and then playing one game on Sunday. In between, they will exchange opponents as Creighton goes across town to play Belmont and Northern Kentucky comes to Dugan Field to play two games against the Bisons. The visiting Blue Jays from Creighton University are part of the Big East Conference, and today is their season opener for the 2021 season. The Bisons from the Atlantic Sun Conference have a season record of 2 wins and 1 loss with no conference action. Last time out, the Bisons dropped a game to Memphis on Tuesday by a score of 3-1 in a game played in Hoover, Alabama. Let's take a look at today's starting lineups. First, for the visiting Blue Jays from Creighton. Leading off, left fielder, number 5, David Webble. Batting second, center fielder, number 6, Parker Upton. Batting third baseman, number 8, Ryan Mantle. Batting fourth, first baseman, number 11, Dax Roper. Batting fifth, catcher, number 21, David Vilchis. Batting sixth, the designated hitter, number 18, Alan Roden. Batting seventh, right fielder, Jared Wegner. Batting eighth, shortstop, number 2, Sterling Hayes. Batting ninth, second baseman, number 3, Andrew Meggs. On the mound for the Blue Jays, right-hander Dylan Tabrock, number 14, a sophomore, making his first start for the season. Creighton is coached by Ed Cervase, who's assisted by Connor Gandisi, Eric Wordkemper, Paul Widener. And now, let's take a look at the starting lineup for the homestanding Lipscomb Bisons. Starting at second base, leading off, number 8, Haddon Adams. Batting second, right fielder, number 55, Tiger Borum. Batting third, designated hitter, number 30, Chris Bashler. Batting fourth, first baseman, number 44, Malik Williams. Batting fifth, left fielder, number 5, Carter Smith. Batting sixth, center fielder, number 19, Maddox Houghton. Batting seventh, the shortstop, number 6, Robbie Merced. Batting eighth, the catcher, number 1, Chaz Bertolani. And batting ninth, at third base, number 2, Brian Moore. And starting on the mound today for Lipscomb, number 15, left-handed pitcher Noah Thompson. The head coach for the Lipscomb Bisons is Jeff Forehand, who's in his 15th season as head coach. He's assisted by pitching coach Grayson Crawford, hitting coach Ryan Price, director of baseball operations Brian Ryman, volunteer assistant Will Hawks. The Bison's team manager is Kyle Kosman, head groundskeeper is Colby Rawls, and the head baseball athletic trainer is Clint Woods. The umpires for today's game behind the plate will be Michael Thomas. At first base is Brock Ballou, and at third base is Corey Simpson. We're going to take a break right now and hear our national anthem. Our national anthem is completed, and we're just moments away from baseball action here at Dugan Field. I have the pleasure of being joined in the booth today by Erica Plunkett, back for another season of Bison baseball commentary. Erica, it's great to be back in the booth.
You said it. It's great to be back. It's a gorgeous day. We're finally getting some warm weather here in Nashville, and it just feels like it's time for baseball.
Well, earlier today, Eric and I had a chance to visit with Lipscomb head coach Jeff Forehand to get his thoughts on today's game.
Coach Jeff Forehand. Coach Forehand, the team got started with a 3-game series away from Dugan Field, playing 2 with Murray State, 1 against Memphis. What did you learn about your team during those 3 games?
I thought we played 3 pretty solid games. I felt like the pitching was really strong. We gave up runs only in 3 frames out of 27, which is pretty good. So I felt really good about our pitching. I felt like the defense was solid. Hitting didn't come around. Memphis pitched us pretty good on that 3rd game, but I thought overall I was really pleased where we started. And it's different not opening up at home, but glad to be back today.
After missing all of last season with injury, Noah Thompson on the mound for you today. It's great to see him back on the field 2 years since we last saw him. What should our fans expect to see from Noah today?
Hopefully more of the same of where he left off. Not to jinx him, but left off with a scoreless inning streak, years ago, and was pitching really well. And then we had to set back with the injuries. So, we're looking forward to seeing where he is. Had a good fall, and he got back on his feet, no pun intended. But he's ready to go, and had a good inning against Memphis to get him ready for this. So, looking forward to seeing what he does today.
Good luck today, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
That's Bison's head coach Jeff Forehand previewing today's game. And as Erica mentioned, we are currently under cloudy skies, 57 degrees, and the winds are out of the south-southeast at 7 miles per hour. We do have rain in the forecast, and so something that we'll have to keep an eye on as we move into today's action. But Erica, as Coach Forehand mentioned, Noah Thompson back on the mound today after a 2-year absence.
Absolutely. I think there was some hope that maybe at the end of last season he was going to be able to return, but obviously that was cut short due to COVID-19. So I know he's ready to get back out there and get a start. His freshman year, he started 11 games and led the team with a 3.02 ERA, and then he started 14 games as a sophomore, so I expect him to continue to grow this year as a junior.
Well, we're set for baseball action as our first pitch is underway between Noah Thompson and David Webble, and the first pitch is swung on and hit in the air out towards left field. Carter Smith is circling under it, and he makes the catch for the first out of the inning. So Webble, first pitch swinging, and he flies out to Smith in left field. That'll bring up the center fielder, Parker Upton. Upton, a senior, batting in the 2-hole today. While we have a chance, let's set the Bison's defense. Again, Carter Smith in left field, Maddox Houghton in center, Tiger Borum in right, Brian Moore at 3rd, Robbie Merced at short, Haddon Adams at second base, Malik Williams at first base, Chaz Bertolani behind the plate, and Noah Thompson on the mound. And he starts out Upton with a strike across the outside corner. No balls and 1 strike. Second pitch is a fastball down and in for a ball, evens the count at a ball and a strike. So the Bison's playing pretty standard depth here. Adams with a step or 2 back on the grass at second base. Outfield fairly straight away and medium depth for Parker Upton. The 1-1, fastball stays down low, and it's 2 balls and a strike.
Well, one of the players who's already made a play today for the Bisons is Carter Smith. He is actually a transfer from Florida State. Coach Forehand is very high on what Carter can do for this team. Lipscomb brings back a number of stars from a season ago, but they also have a number of key new players that will make an impact on the Bisons' run.
That fastball missed high, and it's 3 balls and 1 strike now on Parker Upton. Ryan Mantle waits on deck. There's one down here in the top of the first inning between Lipscomb and Creighton. And that fastball will stay high as well, ball 4. So Upton draws a walk, and that'll bring up the third baseman, Ryan Mantle. Again, no statistics for any of the Blue Jays yet, as this is their first game of the season as they come down to Nashville to hopefully get in an opening weekend of 4 scheduled games. Got to say, with the weather forecast, that may be a bit optimistic, but you never know. Those weather forecasts are certainly known to change this time of year, so we'll take it as it comes here. So 1 man out, runner on first base is Upton, and Mantle stands in to face Noah Thompson. Good lead at first, and he looks at a fastball downstairs for a strike. Caught the low part of the zone with that one. Thompson will come inside with a two-seamer. He has a slider and a changeup that you'll see from him. A lot of run on that pitch. It tends to run away from the right-handed hitters. Something we'll keep an eye on. Again, generous lead at first, and Thompson is going to chase Upton back with that lead. We mentioned that this is the first game of the season for the Blue Jays. They did finish last year with a shortened season, as did everyone in COVID, with a record of 5 wins and 10 losses. Thompson again going to go to first. A little bit more of the hesitation move that time. But Erica, the Blue Jays are actually the defending Big East champions. They won the conference in 2019, advanced to the NCAA tournament that year.
That they are, and it's always hard to tell how good a team is based off an early season record. And so I don't really think that we have a great feel for who Creighton is as a team. I don't know that even the Bison's team has a great feel for who Creighton is as a team. They're currently picked to be second in the Big East this year behind UConn. So there's a lot of talent on this team that people just haven't seen yet.
1 ball, 1 strike, the count to Ryan Mantle as that pitch stayed outside, and that's a fastball that catches the upper inside corner. He gets the call on that, and the count will be 1 ball and 2 strikes. I don't think Mr. Mantle agreed with home plate umpire Michael Thomas's call on that one, but nonetheless, it goes in the books as a strike. So it's 1 ball and 2 strike count now with 1 out and a man on first. Thompson likes to work quickly, which, you know, his defense will appreciate on this heavy day. I'd say it's a heavy day for the ball out there. It's going to be tough for the balls to carry around the park today. The 1-2 pitch, fastball stays high and away. Again, that looks like that two-seamer that's running away. He's got a lot of run on it today so far that we're seeing, and it evens the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes on Ryan Mantle. Dax Roper waiting on deck. Really nice crowd of Creighton fans who've made the journey down to Nashville today, an equally sizable crowd from the Bison faithful. So it's opening day at the ballpark, and great to see a good crowd on hand. Here comes the 2-2, almost hit him inside, something off speed, and that'll run the count full. 3 balls and 2 strikes on Ryan Mantle. So we'll see if Coach Service decides to start the runner Upton on this 3-2 pitch. He's been getting a fairly generous lead at first base, being held on by first baseman Malik Williams. Infield at double play depth up the middle, outfield straight away and moderate depth, I would say. And here comes the 3-2 pitch. Not going to be made. He's going to go to first, as the Bisons were thinking, like we were, that Upton might be in motion on that 3-2 pitch. So we'll prepare to do it all again. There's a ball hit deep down the left field line into foul territory. It's going to drop harmlessly out of play. And so once again, the count will remain 3 balls and 2 strikes. Mantle is a 5'10", 205-pound redshirt senior. Previously played at Missouri State. He hails out of Lynn, Missouri is his home. Played at Lynn High School. And he's going to, again, face a 3-2 pitch from Noah Thompson with 1 out. Runner is going and swung on and fouled straight back. So they decided to put Upton in motion that time. He got a reasonable jump on the pitch, and Mantle swung on and fouled it straight back. That's 2 straight fouls that he's had at after the 3 ball, 2 strike count.
You mentioned the rain in the forecast. The Bisons are actually debuting a brand new uniform today, a cream color that might, get a little dirty today.
That ball's hit deep in the air to right center field. Right fielder Borum's going back, circles under it, makes the catch, and they may have a play at first base, and in fact they do. So Upton was running on the play, rounded second base, was headed towards third, and simply could not get back to first base in time, and he is doubled off to end the inning. So in the inning, there were no runs on no hits, no errors, and no one left on base. We've played a half inning in Nashville with no score. Creighton and Lipscomb baseball. You're watching Lipscomb Bisons baseball on YouTube Live. We'll be back after this short break. We're back and moving to the bottom half of the first inning. No score between Creighton and Lipscomb. And the Bisons will send up Haddon Adams, Tiger Borum, and Chris Bashler to face the right-hander Dylan Tabrock on the mound for Creighton. And the first pitch from Tabrock is low and inside, catches the corner for strike one against Haddon Adams. Adams off to an excellent start this season, batting .417 for the first 3 games, 5 hits and 12 trips, and has an RBI. Second pitch is missing low, and Erica, we've seen already a lot of accolades for Haddon Adams. He was voted by the media as the preseason player of the year for the Atlantic Sun Conference.
Absolutely. If you're a Bisons fan, that doesn't surprise you at all. Haddon got off to a really hot start to last season as well, and it's just really been a leader for this team. He is one of the seniors from a year ago that was able to use the NCAA's extra year of eligibility to return, and Coach Forehand is just thrilled to have a few of his seniors back.
That one's hit deep down the line in left field, but it's hooking foul. He got all of that one, hit it all the way over the buses that are parked out in the parking lot. So that was a 2-ball, 1-strike pitch. Looked like a fastball that got up in the wheelhouse that he liked, and Haddon Adams jumped all over it but hit it foul. And that'll bring the count to 2 balls and 2 strikes. So Adams saw something he liked there and aggressively jumped on it in the zone. And breaking ball from Tabrock. Well done on the outside corner. He gets a called strike 3 on Haddon Adams. So Adams is retired, and that'll bring up the right fielder Tiger Borum. Borum just a freshman on this Bisons team. He's 5'6", 149 pounds, out of Jonesboro, Georgia, but an outfielder who's got a lot of tools that Coach Forehand has talked to us about. Swings and fouls the first pitch back. He describes Borum as a incredible speed weapon with good offense, playing his way into the lineup and can create a lot of havoc when he gets on those base paths. So hitting up near the top of the order, Tiger Borum, a freshman, in his first home action for the Bisons. Here comes the 0-1 pitch. Swings and hits an off-speed pitch slowly to first base. It's going to be handled there by Roper, unassisted, and quickly there are 2 down in the bottom half of the first inning. That'll bring up the designated hitter, Chris Bashler. Bashler, the junior, who started here at Lipscomb as a catcher. Played some first base last year, played designated hitter, also now playing some outfield. So Bashler seeing action in various areas of the field. Today he's in the lineup as the designated hitter, and he'll bat here with 2 down in the bottom half of the first inning. No score between Creighton and Lipscomb. And he swings through a fastball. No balls and 1 strike. Looks like Tabrock really wants to attack these hitters. He's going right in the zone, using that fastball, moving it to different parts of the plate. Not afraid to pitch on the inside corner, which many times you'll see pitchers try to stay away from these hitters, but he's clearly working both sides of the plate. That was looks like a slider that missed down and low, so 1 ball and 1 strike on Chris Bashler.
Chris Bashler is one of those players who Coach Forehand always wants out on the field, whether that's as a designated hitter or as a position player. He played in all 16 and actually started in all 16 games they were able to play last year. So he's been around this program a long time. He knows what Coach Forehand wants. He knows the game of baseball very well.
Swung on and fouled out of play, and that makes the count 1 ball and 2 strikes on Chris Bashler. Outfield again. Straight away, we'll give you the defensive alignment here if we have a chance to after this pitch for the Blue Jays. Tabrock is going to bring the 1-2 to Bashler. And it's a breaking ball called strike 3. So Tabrock with 2 strikeouts looking in the inning. And nothing doing for the Bisons. No runs, no hits, no errors, no one left on base. We've played 1 full inning, and there's no score between Creighton and Lipscomb. You're watching Lipscomb Bisons Baseball on YouTube Live. We're headed to the top half of the second inning. No score between Lipscomb and Creighton. And due up for the Blue Jays will be 4, 5, and 6 hitters Roper, Vilchis, and Roden to face the left-hander Noah Thompson.
Noah Thompson has had a pretty good start to this game, and the Bison's pitching staff has had a pretty good start to this season. But one thing to keep an eye out for is that the Bisons have only allowed runs off of home runs so far this season. In their loss to Memphis as well as in their wins against Murray State, all of those runs were scored via the home run.
Ball misses high, 1 ball, no strikes. Coach Forehand mentioned they only gave up runs in 3 of the 27 innings they've played, but the long ball did do some damage there. So another fastball missing high, and quickly it's 2 balls and no strikes to Dax Roper. Noah Thompson is a 6-foot-tall, 209-pound left-hander out of Louisville, Kentucky. Classified as a redshirt junior after having sat out last year, as Coach mentioned, with that foot surgery. And it gets a strike through there, 2 balls and 1 strike. Bisons are shifted over now. Second baseman Adams is playing on the third base side of second base. The shortstop Merced deep in the hole, so fairly large gap to the right side. And he hits it on the ground foul down the left field line, and that'll make the count 2 balls and 2 strikes. Outfield is remaining straight away, but you see that infield shift. It's becoming much more common throughout all levels of baseball. And clearly, despite not having an active set of games this year, that's the scouting report on Roper. So 2 balls, 2 strikes is the count, and Thompson offers. Swung on and hit foul and out of play. The count will remain 2-2. Roper is a 6'2", 215-pound senior out of Honia Path, South Carolina. And he'll await the 2-2 pitch from Noah Thompson. Swung on, hit down the third base line, past the third baseman Moore. It's rolling down toward the left field corner. Smith over to pick it up. He's going to round first, and he's going to retreat back there. So good job getting to that ball quickly with Smith and getting it back in to hold Roper to a single, but he's on with the first hit of the day for the Blue Jays. And that will bring up the catcher, David Vilchis. Vilchis, a 5'10", 200-pound junior who's a transfer from Eastern Oklahoma State College. So he'll bat now with a runner at first base, nobody out. Top of the second inning, no score between Creighton and Lipscomb. Lights have come on here at Dugan Field. It's a very overcast, dark, gloomy-looking day. No active rain. He shows bunt, pulls back, and takes a fastball high for 1 ball, no strike count. Rain in the forecast, but nothing at the moment. We mentioned that wind blowing south-southeast, but our flag's fairly calm at the moment. If anything, a touch of wind blowing out towards left center field, as often happens here at Dugan Field. But wind not really a factor at the moment. Here comes the 1-0 pitch, and it misses outside. Again, looks like a 2-seamer running away, and it's 2 balls and no strikes on Vilchis. Double play depth up the middle for the Bisons. Their standard position in the corners. Outfield is pretty much straight away. As Thompson has faced a base runner in each of the first 2 innings that he's been out there. And he catches the inside corner with that pitch. Looked like he took a little something off of it. Got the call from home plate umpire Michael Thomas, and that makes the count 2 balls and 1 strike. We'll see if the Blue Jays decide to put Roper in motion. They did try to do a little bit of base running in the first inning when they had a man on first base in a similar situation, but he was doubled off on a outstanding catch by Tiger Borum in right center field. Here's the 2-1 pitch, and he swings through that fastball, cutting away. Really good action on that 2-seamer as it cut away from him. Swung through it, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes on Vilchis. Warner was not going on that play.
We've already mentioned how excited the Bisons are to have Noah Thompson back, but another person that returns for the season is pitching coach Grayson Crawford. He came in really late before the 2020 season and really has just been able to build a rapport with all of the pitchers, and Coach Forehand said that he's been really impressed with how all of them have grown over this offseason. So expect to see some real depth in the Bisons pitching staff this season, as well as just some more wisdom and strength that they've gotten from Coach Crawford.
That pitch missed downstairs, and that runs the count full on David Vilchis. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Dax Roper is running at first base, nobody out. And we'll see if Coach Survey selects to put him in motion Thompson is going home. He's not running, and he fouls it straight back, and we'll do it all again with a 3-ball, 2-strike count. We mentioned that the Blue Jays will be staying here in Nashville. They're playing a doubleheader scheduled against Belmont tomorrow, a single game against Lipscomb on Sunday. Then they'll go home next weekend to play a 3-game series against Nebraska-Omaha. And a little-known fact, Erica, the home ballpark for Creighton is the home of the College World Series, TD Ameritrade Park in Omaha, Nebraska. One of the most beautiful parks anywhere, and certainly one we all aspire to get towards. That's fouled, or actually it's hit off the fist. It's going to Williams at first base. He can't handle it, and Vilchis is going to reach on that ball. I really thought it fouled off the batter's body when I saw it. It came off in a very funny angle, but perhaps it's just the way they came off the bat. It was hit slowly between first and second. Williams went over to field it and was unable to come up with it. And that's going to allow Roper to advance to second. That's going to put Vilchis on at first. And that's going to bring designated hitter Alan Roden to the mound with 2 on and nobody out. Top of the second inning, and no score between Lipscomb and Creighton. Ball just came off funny. I thought it might have struck him on the foot, but no protestation from the Bison's dugout, so I guess it just was one of those squibbed off the end of the bat. But Thompson got over to cover first, but Williams couldn't come up with the ball. And here's a bunt going down the third base line. Thompson over to field it, going to go to third, and he is not in time, according to third base umpire Corey Simpson.
That was a close call, but Brian Moore just couldn't get his foot on the base. He tried to tag the runner and was unsuccessful. So now Noah Thompson is in quite a bind here with the bases loaded and no outs.
Yeah, it looked like that Moore broke over to field that ball and was unable to realize that it was closer to Thompson. Thompson got to it quickly, made a good turn through to third, but as you mentioned, Erica, Moore was not on the bag, and so the Blue Jays are in business here in the top of the second inning. They've got the bases loaded and nobody out, and right fielder Jared Wagner is standing in to face Noah Thompson. And he hits it deep in the air to left center field. Houghton going back, still going back's got a bead under it. He's going to field it there. And tagging from third is Roper, and he is going to score the Blue Jays' first run of the game. So Wagner with a sacrifice fly to deep left center field gets the Blue Jays on the board with their first run of the game. Vilchis held at second and Roden held at first, so now there is 1 down in the inning, and that'll bring up the shortstop, Sterling Hayes. That ball was well hit, but Houghton drifted over to left center field, had a beat on it, but no chance to retire Roper at the plate. The goal there was simply to hold the runners at first and second. So now 1 out, men on first and second, and Sterling Hayes will face Noah Thompson.
And you wonder if it was just a little bit less humid, a little less moisture in the air, that ball might have been out of here, and the Bisons may have been in a lot deeper than down 0-1.
It's a good point. It was a well-hit ball that just did not carry with that heavy air that we have today. A lot of moisture in the air, as you mentioned. No real wind to speak of. 1 ball, no strike, and that one is going to be an off-speed pitch that catches the bottom part of the zone and is called a strike. So it's 1 ball and 1 strike on Sterling Hayes. Hayes is a 6'1", 205-pound sophomore out of San Diego, California, who previously played at Vanderbilt. So someone who is very familiar with Nashville and now calls Omaha home. Here comes the 1-1 pitch. That's that 2-seamer that runs away. Bertolani tries to frame it on the corner but doesn't get the call. And it'll be 2 balls and 1 strike on Sterling Hayes. Andrew Meggs waits on deck. You will see, if you're watching at home, Thompson looking at his wristband. The Bisons are using a wristband system for pitchers and catchers, and so they've got some calls coming into the pitchers. That is swung on and hit deep to left center field. Houghton going back, still going back, near the warning track. Circles under it and makes the catch. That was hit in almost the same spot as the last ball was, but Vilchis was unable to tag in advance, given that the ball was on that side of the field. So that's the second out of the inning, and a big out it is for the Bisons, as Hayes is retired by Maddox Houghton in center field. So that's 2 outs now and 2 on, and that brings up second baseman Andrew Meggs, batting for the first time today. The Bisons would love to get out of here with only allowing 1 run after having the bases loaded and nobody out earlier in the inning here. Top half of the second inning, Creighton 1, Lipscomb 0. And Meggs waits from Noah Thompson. That's that running fastball. Again, it ran outside just a bit for ball one. A little bit of a shift on again. Haddon Adams, second baseman's playing almost straight up the middle, almost directly behind the second base bag if you're watching at home. Leaving a gap between first and second. Shallow in right field is Tiger Borum, otherwise the fairly standard position. That's an off-speed pitch that catches the inside corner. Might have been a slider, 1 ball and 1 strike. Thompson's had really good control over that breaking pitch so far. The fastball has also had a lot of movement on it. Some of them have just moved off the corner of the plate and gotten him in a few disadvantaged counts here. So 1 ball, 1 strike, and 2 outs. And there's one hit right back up the middle, but it's toward Adams. He feels it, knocks it down, flips to second, and not going to be in time. So great job by Haddon Adams to get to that ball. That was really well hit back up the middle. Had he not been playing where he was, he had no chance to feel that ball. He bited it up and flipped it to Robbie Merced covering second, but it just wasn't in time to get Roden, who obviously is running with 2 outs.
Yeah, both Adams and Merced were in the right place to make that play, but just not quite quick enough. Merced is another transfer student that Coach Forehand is really excited about. He transferred in from Fort Scott Community College and is a sophomore this year. Really just a lot of talent coming in through the transfer portal this year, and then there's a lot of talent who stayed behind. I mentioned Adams is one of the seniors earlier who has been able to stay due to NCAA extra year of eligibility from COVID. So you have really deep baseball rosters across the country. There was a smaller MLB draft, less people went pro. So I think this is just going to be a really exciting year for college baseball. There's so much talent. And I think the players and the teams are more excited to be out here than they ever have been. And they're going to put on a good game.
Pitching coach Grayson Crawford is paying a visit out to the mound. He's talking with his junior left-hander Noah Thompson, and the other infielders are in. If you're watching on television, you'll notice one of the changes of our 2021 season. Everyone pulling up a mask or a gaiter as they go to the mound for those mound visits. Coach Crawford or any of the other coaches that go out to visit also pulling that up. So part of college baseball in 2021, but we're just excited to be out here and playing. If that's what we have to do to play, then bring it on. Let's do it. So to reset the situation, the bases are loaded for the Blue Jays. We're back to the top of the order and left fielder David Webble, who flew out to left field on the first pitch of the game. And he bats with 2 outs and those bases loaded. He takes a fastball, looks like down and inside for a called strike. Webble jumped all over the first pitch he saw from Noah Thompson. Hit it well, hit it down the left field line, but left fielder Carter Smith was able to corral it. And so he's got a chance to do some more damage here. Again, bases loaded. 2 outs in the top of the second inning and 1 run already home this inning. That one misses low, and it's going to be a ball and a strike on David Webble. Parker Upton waits on deck and would be next if Webble is able to reach here. Outfield has deepened up a bit, shading just a bit towards right field for Webble. Here comes the 1-1 from Thompson. Took something off and had him swing through it. I don't know if that was a changeup or just a slider that he got around, but it's 1 ball and 2 strikes on Webble, who is a junior out of Coral Gables, Florida, and a transfer from Furman, one of the programs that shut down as a result of the COVID pandemic. And so a lot of Furman baseball players going around the country to play. And here comes the 1-2 pitch, swung on and hit in the air towards center field. Houghton drifting over, and he's going to corral it for the 3rd out of the inning. So the Bisons escape without further damage, but the Blue Jays do get on the board. They get 1 run on 3 hits. There were 1 Bison error, and there were 3 men left on base. And after an inning and a half, your score, Creighton 1, Lipscomb 0. You're watching Lipscomb Bisons Baseball on YouTube Live. We're headed to the bottom half of the second inning, and Lipscomb will send up 4, 5, and 6. Malik Williams, Carter Smith, and Maddox Houghton to face the right-hander Dylan TeBrock. TeBrock struck out 2 in his first inning of work and seemed to find a really nice rhythm. So the Bisons will see if they can find a way to break through to him. Malik Williams is the right-handed hitting first baseman looking for his first hit on the season. He's had a tough start and hasn't been able to find a hit through the first 3 games, but you figure it's a matter of time before the big fella gets going. He does swing through a fastball there for a no ball and 1 strike count. Interestingly enough, Wibble in left field is playing fairly shallow. I don't know if they maybe haven't seen the scouting report on Malik, but if Malik turns on one, he's got some room to work with out in left field. And he swings through the off-speed pitch and is down in the hole, no balls and 2 strikes. We didn't set the defense for you in the first inning. Let's do that. We've got Wibble in left field, Upton in center, and Wegner in right, Mantle at at third, Hayes at short, Meggs at second, Roper at first, Vilchis behind the plate, and right-hander Dylan TeBrock brings an 0-2 pitch to Malik Williams, who fouls it back, and the count will remain no balls and 2 strikes.
You already mentioned it, but Malik Williams has quite a swing behind him. He was batting just around 300 last season, so I expect him to get going here this weekend.
Swings and hits this one to third baseman Mantle. Long throw across the diamond, and he retires Williams in time. So a fine play there by Mantle, who stayed home, fielded that going backwards a bit, and threw across the diamond to retire Malik Williams for the first out of the inning. So 1 down in the bottom of the second, and that'll bring up left fielder Carter Smith. As you mentioned earlier, Erica, Smith, a transfer from Florida State, calls Fort Myers, Florida home. He is a senior. Young man that's played a lot of baseball in his career, including playing in the College World Series, I believe. So he's been to TD Ameritrade. He swings and hits this one deep in the air towards right center field, but the center fielder Upton's going back, and he'll catch it just shy of the warning track for the second out of the inning. So Smith is retired on 1 pitch, and that'll bring up center fielder Maddox Houghton.
Maddox Houghton is another preseason ASUN honoree. He was named to the first team all-conference, and he's had a pretty hot start to this season as well. He's batting around 360 on the season. He's just been a constant for the Bisons the past couple of years.
Shows bunt and pulls back and takes a strike through there. No balls and 1 strike. Yeah, it's a joy to watch this young man play. I mean, he comes every day, consistent effort. You know he's going to defend incredibly well. He runs well. He's going to get competitive at bats. He's just been a joy to watch play, and as you mentioned, the coaches of the Atlantic Sun Conference selected him again to the preseason all-conference team. That's a slider that missed off the outside part of the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike to Maddox Houghton. And you mentioned that he's batting 364 on the season. Always a guy that's going to give you competitive at-bats.
And if he gets on, he's quite dangerous as well.
Fastball that missed low and inside, and that's 2 balls and 1 strikes on Houghton. Again, I'm impressed with TeBrock moving and using both sides of the plate. He's really done a nice job working the inside part of the plate, which, again, a lot of college pitchers don't feel comfortable doing. But he's clearly comfortable throwing looks like a 4-seamer across that inside corner. So moving the ball around nicely. There's a slider again that's going to miss outside and away, and that'll take the count to 3 balls and 1 strikes on Maddox Houghton. Shortstop Robbie Merced would be next if Houghton is able to reach. And he swings and hits this in the air towards center field. Again, center fielder Upton and right fielder Wegner are converging. Wegner's going to camp out under it, and he's going to record the out for the 3rd out of the inning. So another 1-2-3 inning for TeBrock. Nothing doing for the Bisons. We've played 2 full innings in your score. Creighton 1 and Lipscomb 0. You're watching Lipscomb Bisons Baseball on YouTube Live. We're headed to the top half of the third inning here from Dugan Field in Nashville, Tennessee. Your score is Creighton 1 and Lipscomb 0. And batting for the Blue Jays will be the 2, 3, and 4 hitters Parker Upton, Ryan Mantle, and Dax Roper. To face left-hander Noah Thompson, starting his third inning of work. Thompson's faced 10 batters so far and thrown 40 pitches through the first 2 innings. So certain that we're going to see the bullpen today. We always expect that at this part of the early season, that don't want those pitch counts to get too high for these guys. There's something off speed that stays high, and it's a ball and no strikes on Upton. Upton drew a walk and was doubled off of first base back in the first inning. He saw a ball hit off the bat of Ryan Mantle and thought it was going to get down, and he couldn't get back in time, so he was doubled off for the third out of the inning. That's a fastball that stays down, and it's 2 balls, no strikes on Parker Upton.
You and I mentioned it during the break, but both pitchers have been going pretty fast today, which I know their defense appreciates, but they're also trying to beat the rain and hopefully get a full game in this afternoon.
Took a little something off that, but missed on the inside corner, and it's 3 balls and no strikes to Upton. So Thompson's had to battle behind from some of these hitters today. It's always tough early in the season as pitchers are finding their rhythm. And he throws a fastball right through there at 85 miles an hour for strike 1. 3 balls, 1 strike on Upton. And again, Mantle, who we mentioned a moment ago, waits on deck. Parker Upton is a senior, 6 foot tall, 190 pounds, out of Grand Island, Nebraska. And he's going to look at ball 4. That stays upstairs, and so once again, the Blue Jays have their leadoff runner on base. That's 2 out of 3 innings that's happened for them, and that'll bring up Ryan Mantle. Mantle, as we mentioned, hit a ball deep in the gap to right center field back in the first inning, but it was tracked down on a nice defensive play by the Bison's right fielder Tiger Borum and wound up being a double play, kind of a tough luck double play, as Upton was doubled off of first. So he's got a reasonable lead at first base. Let's see if he tries to do anything here. And that's a 2-seamer that stays outside for ball 1 against Ryan Mantle. Mantle, another senior, again, mentioned earlier, transfer from Missouri State, and a redshirt senior for Coach Service and the Blue Jays. And that's a fastball through there for strike 1. So the account will even at a ball and a strike on Mantle. Bison's at double play depth up the middle. Outfield is fairly deep, but straight away, and normal position on the corners here. For third baseman Brian Moore takes a couple steps back now, out of respect for the right-handed batter Mantle. Here comes the 1-1 pitch from Thompson. Instead, he's going to go to first. Kind of that hesitation move that drives base runners crazy that left-handed pitchers love to use. And he'll move Upton back. Here comes the 1-1 offering. He's going to, again, go to first base. Thompson sees that same lead that we do, that Upton is a fairly generous lead over there. And we'll get set again for the 1-1 pitch. That misses way outside. Upton was way off on a secondary lead, but he was able to get back. It's 2 balls and 1 strike now on Mantle. Looks like Upton was 2 for 3 in stolen bases last year on the abbreviated season, so he does have the ability to run. He's not running here, and that one's going to miss inside and take the count to 3 balls and 1 strike on Ryan Mantle. So runner on first, nobody out. We're in the top half of the third inning, and Creighton is leading Lipscomb 1-0 in opening day action at Dugan Field here for the 2021 season for Lipscomb. We sure are glad that you've joined us on YouTube Live. Swung on and hit down towards shortstop. Merced's up with it, flips to second for 1, on to first, and got him. Double play. Nice scoop there by Malik Williams.
I think they might call Upton safe.
Have they called him safe? They may have called him safe. Tell us what you saw there, Erica.
It seemed like Merced just couldn't get the ball to Adams in time, but they were able to get the ball out to Malik Williams to get the out at first for Mantle. So Mantle advances Upton, but that does add an out for the Blue Jays.
He's a runner in scoring position with 1 out, as Upton is now on at second base and brings up Dax Roper, the first baseman. He singled and scored back in the second inning, and he swings and fouls that one back. No balls and 1 strike. Yeah, Merced made a nice play, flipped it to the second baseman, Adams. I thought he was at the bag. Maybe they called him as not being on the bag. Clearly the ball beat the runner there. And then Adams flipped to first, and was a nice scoop by Williams at first base to pick that one out of the dirt and retire the out at first. So it goes down as a fielder's choice, but the runner's at second now. No ball, 1 strike count to Dax Roper. Thompson delivers, and that's an off-speed breaking ball right in there for strike 2. So Thompson now ahead of Roper, no balls and 2 strikes. Upton, your runner at second base. Roper, another senior, as we mentioned earlier, from South Carolina. And here comes the 0-2 pitch. Swung on and hit in the air, mile high out towards center field. Houghton is drifting over. Now he comes in a few steps, and he's still got a beat on it. That ball drifted around quite a bit, and he ended up catching it about 20 steps behind the grass cutout there. So Roper is retired for the second out of an inning. A big out there for the Bisons, as Upton will hold at second. And now with 2 down, that'll bring up the catcher, David Vilches. Vilches reached on an error back in the second inning and made it all the way to third base, where he was stranded. That error was a ball that kind of squibbed between first and second and couldn't be picked up, and so that allowed Vilches to get on base. 2 down now, runner at second, and that one catches the outside corner for a strike. No balls and 1 strike. Roden, the designated hitter, would be next if Vilches is able to reach here.
And Vilches is one of the many Creighton players who have reached without logging a hit for the Blue Jays. They only have 2 hits in the afternoon, but Noah Thompson has already faced 2 loaded bases situations that they've been able to get out of with only 1 run. So the Bison should feel lucky. They haven't been able to get going anything offensively, and defensively they've done a pretty good job of fixing some mistakes that have been made.
That was a fastball driving away, and it's fouled back to the screen, so it's no balls and 2 strikes on Vilches, and so Thompson has him in a hole, which is exactly where he'd like him. The last 2 batters, Roper and Vilches, he's really gotten ahead of. He's gone right at them and gotten them in those 0-2 counts, and so we'll see if he can finish off the inning here without further damage for the Bisons. Again, Upton is your runner at second. There are 2 outs in the top of the third, and it's Creighton 1, Lipscomb 0. That one's going to miss low and inside. Looked like he took something off of it, maybe a slider. It's going to be a ball and 2 strikes to Vilches. Again, Thompson, an experienced pitcher. He's thrown a lot of innings. Pitched as a freshman, pitched quite a bit as a sophomore, and then missed all of last season after a season-ending surgery, and so he never took the mound last year. So he's coming back after a 2-year layoff. Here comes the 1-2, and that misses low. It's going to be 2 balls and 2 strikes. Wind's picked up a bit now. It's blowing a little more steadily toward the left field line. You're seeing that coming out of the south, kind of what we've expected through the day. And as we said, we are expecting weather to move in and affect us at some point here, but we're going to try to get as much baseball in as we can. We're awaiting a 2-2 pitch from Noah Thompson to David Vilches. Off speed, just off the plate. Thompson thought he had that one and was started toward the dugout, but home plate Michael Thomas thought it was a bit outside, and so that's going to run the count full. It's a beautiful breaking ball that floated in but left just outside to fill the count. And so we'll see what the offering is here from Thompson to Vilches. Fastball missing low and inside, ball 4. Second walk of the inning for Thompson. And that'll put 2 on with 2 out for the designated hitter, Alan Roden. Roden singled back in the second inning. He had a bunt attempt that couldn't be completed, and so I gave him an infield hit on that. Not sure how the official scorer saw it, but he did reach base with that bunt attempt back in the second inning. I think it's a reasonable bet that he is not going to be bunting here in the situation with 2 on and 2 out in the top of the third inning. Left-handed swinger facing the left-hander Thompson, and he takes a fastball low, ball 1. Roden is a redshirt freshman out of Middleton, Wisconsin, 6 foot tall and 215 pounds. Serving as the designated hitter today for the Blue Jays. Here comes the 1-0, swung on and hit in the air, deep right field. It's going back down the line, it's going down the line, and it is gone.
That was just about as close as you can get to a foul ball without it going foul. Impressive hit from Roden, and now Creighton is dealing with a 4-0 lead. The Bisons really need to get something going in the bottom half of the third inning.
Yeah, he really got all of that when it was hit solidly. I thought it might hook foul, but it came just inside the foul pole and went over the wall in right field. So Roden with a 3-run homer has extended Creighton's lead to 4-0, and that brings up right fielder Jared Wagner. Wagner has an RBI on the day. He fouls that one out of play. No ball, 1 strike. He had a sacrifice fly back in the second inning to drive in the first run of the day for the Blue Jays. We're in the top of the third. It's Creighton 4, Lipscomb 0. And Jared Wagner is facing Noah Thompson. Thompson already up to 61 pitches here for this first 2 2/3. And he swings through a fastball there. Foul tipped it. And that'll make the count no balls and 2 strikes on Wagner. Hayes would be on deck. Here comes the 0-2 from Thompson, and it's like a fastball that stays high, and that'll make the count 1 ball and 2 strikes. Mentioned that the Bisons are scheduled to be back in action here tomorrow with a doubleheader scheduled against Northern Kentucky, weather permitting. And strike 3 called, caught the inside corner for the third out of the inning, but not before the Blue Jays tack on 3 more runs. They had only 1 hit. That was the big one, the home run off the bat of Roden. And there was no errors and no one left on base. So we've played 2.5 innings, and your new score is Creighton 4, Lipscomb 0. You're watching Lipscomb Bisons Baseball on YouTube Live. We head to the bottom half of the third inning. Creighton leading Lipscomb 4-0. And we're seeing the 7, 8, 9 hitters due up for the Bisons. Robbie Merced, Chaz Bertolani, and Brian Moore to face the right-hander Dylan Tabrock, who's been terrific through the first 2 innings. He's had 2 1-2-3 innings. And the Bisons are still looking for their first hit on the day. So Merced stands in there, swings and hits the first pitch in the air toward right field. Right fielder Wegner is drifting back, still drifting back, short of the warning track. And he's got a beat on it for the first out of the inning. So the Bisons are being aggressive early in the count, but they're getting under it and leaving some fly balls out there. And Merced will be retired for the first out of the inning. That brings up the catcher, Chaz Bertolani. Bertolani, another one of those Bisons voted to the preseason Atlantic Sun All-Conference team for the sophomore catcher. Tabrock throws a fastball for a strike, 0-1. I think, Erica, we'll probably have to mention this over and over. We'll use the convention that since the NCAA gave a season of eligibility, rather than calling them COVID sophomores, we're just going to call them sophomores because this is considered their second year of eligibility. But third year on campus here for Bertolani. And he takes a breaking ball for strike 2. That looks like that slider that Tabrock has been able to successfully locate away from right-handed hitters, and Bertolani's in a hole, no balls and 2 strikes. So Bertolani, one of 4 Bisons that are on the preseason Atlantic Sun All-Conference team.
And Bertolani just reads the plate really well. I think that comes from being a catcher. He sees it all day long. So he does a really good job of picking out what pitches to attack. And it's worked in his favor. He's had high batting percentages the last couple of years.
He fouled that one back, and so the count remains no balls and 2 strikes for Chaz Bertolani. And he swings and punches that one into right field, and it's caught by Wegner. I thought that one was going to get down, but Wegner had him shaded in, and he catches that for the second out of the inning. It was a pitch going away from Bertolani. He was protecting the plate with 2 strikes, and he is retired for the second out of the inning, and that'll bring up the third baseman, Brian Moore. Moore, one of the seniors on the Bison roster, who's played a lot of baseball in his career and is now back for one more time. Coach Forehand, he takes a strike across the outside corner of that breaking ball. Coach Forehand telling us Brian was one of the young men who had a job lined up last year, was all prepared to see his career end, and then because of the extra year of eligibility, found himself coming back to play another year of college baseball. And Coach Forehand really glad to have him back. A veteran player who's played a lot of college baseball, Brian Moore. That's another one of those sliders across the outside corner, and it's 0-2. Tabrock's really doing a nice job with that slider. He seems to be able to flip it across the outside corner sort of whenever he wants to. He has not he's generated a lot of looks on that from the Bison so far. And Moore is in a no-ball 2-strike hole. Swings and fouls a fastball back to protect himself and stay alive. If Moore could reach, the leadoff hitter Haddon Adams is on deck for the Bisons. We're playing in the bottom of the third inning. Creighton has 4 runs on 3 hits and no errors. The Bisons, no runs, no hits, and they have committed 1 error. The Bisons have yet to get a base runner on the day. And here comes the 0-2 to Moore, and he swings through that one. Looks like it's a foul tip that is caught by Vilchis for the third out in the inning. So once again, nothing doing. Another outstanding inning from Tabrock. No runs, hits, or errors. No one left on base. Tabrock now has 3 strikeouts on the day and is throwing really well for the Blue Jays. We've played 3 full innings, and your score, Creighton 4, Lipscomb 0. You're watching Lipscomb Bisons Baseball on YouTube Live. We head to the top half of the 4th inning. Creighton leading Lipscomb 4-0, and Noah Thompson is back out on the mound for the Bisons. Set to face the 8, 9, and 1 hitters for the Blue Jays, Hayes, Meggs, and Webble. Again, Thompson looking through 3 innings, having thrown 65 pitches so far and faced 16 batters. And as we mentioned before, earlier in the season, we know that there are likely pitch count limits on these pitchers on both sides, although we don't know what those numbers are. There is activity in the Bison's bullpen as Patrick Williams is warming up. That's a fastball that cuts outside for ball 1 on Sterling Hayes. Hayes batted back in the 2nd inning and flew out to left center field. So he comes in 0 for 1 on the day. Takes a strike through there. That'll even the count at a ball and a strike on Sterling Hayes.
You mentioned Noah Thompson's 65 pitches, now up to 67 pitches. Meanwhile, for the Blue Jays, Tabrock only has 30 total pitches on the afternoon, so definitely a difference in fatigue there.
And Hayes has just hit it out of the ballpark. Hayes saw that 1-1 pitch. It looked like maybe something off speed, and he turned on and hit it deep over the wall in left center field. Left fielder Smith drifted back, but was unable to make a play on that one as it was well over the wall. And so Hayes has himself a base hit and an RBI on courtesy of a bases empty home run. And that'll stretch the Blue Jays' lead to 5-0 on the day. And that'll bring up Andrew Meggs, the second baseman, Meggs singled and was stranded back in the second inning, so he's 1 for 1 on the day. And Coach Forehand is marching out towards the mound, and so it looks like we're going to have a pitching change here. So Noah Thompson comes back for his first start of the 2021 season. He did see 1 inning of action earlier this week against Memphis, but his first start, and he will hand the ball off to Coach Forehand, and we'll have a pitching change. So we'll step aside for just a moment. Again, top of the 4th inning, your score is Creighton 5, Lipscomb nothing. You're watching Lipscomb Bison's baseball on YouTube Live. The new Bison's hurler is freshman right-hander Patrick Williams, a 6'7", 199-pound freshman out of Cleveland, Tennessee, in Cleveland High School. Williams will take the mound here to the top of the 4th inning in this potent Creighton lineup that has swung the bat very well so far today. The final stat line on Noah Thompson: 3 innings pitched, 4 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned, 3 walks, and 1 strikeout. He faced 17 batters and threw 67 pitches. And Erica, you mentioned at the top of the broadcast the Bison's being victimized a little bit by the long ball down in Hoover. It's come back today as well.
Absolutely. They did allow 1 run earlier that wasn't off of a home run, but 4 of the 5 runs this afternoon have been off of the deep ball, as were all of their runs earlier this week. That's really just been an issue for them so far this season. Batters have been able to connect deep, and that's something that Coach Crawford has got to work on with his pitchers, but I'm sure we'll get corrected shortly. You mentioned Patrick Williams is a freshman. He is actually one of those second-year freshmen, so he has been on campus. He saw action last year, so a player with some experience coming into this game, someone who Coach Forehand definitely trusts putting into this position to try to stop the bleeding.
And his first pitch will miss outside and wide for ball 1. Andrew Meggs, as we mentioned, singled in the first inning. It was hit right back up the middle. Haddon Adams had him played up the middle, but he couldn't make a play on the ball, so we gave him an infield single. 1 for 1 for Meggs for the day, batting with the bases empty, top of the 4th inning, and the Bison's trailing 5-0. And there's an 87-mile-an-hour fastball over the outside corner to even the count at a ball and a strike. Adams has again shifted, not quite as much as he was last time against Meggs, but he shifted toward the second base bag. He's back on the outfield grass, otherwise fairly straight away for the Bisons. Here comes the 1-1, and that one's going to stay high. And the count will be 2 balls and 1 strike on Andrew Meggs. Top of the order, and David Webble waits on deck for the Blue Jays. Again, season opener for them. They've yet to play, and they're coming to Nashville to play for the start of the season. He hits this a mile high in the air to center field. It looks like Maddox Houghton's going to drift in a little bit, and he's going to make the out for the first out of the inning. So Williams comes in and gets Meggs to fly out, and that'll turn us back to the top of the order and David Webble. He'll be batting for the 3rd time today. He flew out back in the first inning to left field and then flew out to center field in the second inning, so he's 0 for 2 on the day. And he'll bat now with 1 out and the bases empty against Patrick Williams. Williams with a strong 4-seam fastball, and will also throw a changeup, and he swings and hits this one through the hole into left field for a base hit. So once again, Webble swinging early in the count, drives that one into the left field area for a base hit, and he'll be on at first base with 1 out, and that'll bring up Parker Upton. Upton also has batted twice already and has walked both times. He did score a run on the home run from Roden in the third frame, so he's officially 0 for 0 on the day, but has been on base 2 times. And so left-handed hitting Upton will face the right-hander Williams here with a man at first base and 1 out. Again, you're seeing these Blue Jays be aggressive early in the count on fastballs. And this will be a fastball that'll miss outside and low, ball 1. I always feel like, Erica, the pitchers have a bit of an advantage early in the season. Batters haven't seen a lot of live pitching. You've got to figure that Creighton probably hasn't been able to get outside a lot, so it's really hard to duplicate that feeling of standing in the box. But give them credit. They've come in swinging the bats well. They've put balls in play and done what they had to do to be successful.
Absolutely, especially without fall ball or really any summer work that normally would take place for any of the young players or transfers into the program. It looks a lot different, but they've done a good job of reading the pitches and just really being aggressive. They've had a number of not the wisest hits. They've gotten some flyouts that they potentially could have avoided, but they've done a good job taking advantage of the ones that they have hit.
And we've got a stolen base there for David Webble, who was running on that pitch that appeared to be down in the dirt. Bertolani came up with it, made a quick throw to second, but it was not in time to get Webble, so he has stolen a base and now is in scoring position with 1 out. And it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count on Parker Upton. That looked like an off-speed pitch that was down in the zone. Tough chance for Bertolani. Here comes the 1-1. Off-speed pitch hit right back up the middle softly. Merced's going to range over, grabs it, throws gloves, and throws to first. And he will retire Parker Upton. So a really nice play by Robbie Merced there for the second out of the inning. That will allow Webble to advance all the way over to third base. And that brings up the third baseman, Ryan Mantle. Mantle flew out to right field in the first inning and then was retired on a fielder's choice, a little bit of an unusual fielder's choice. Hit a double play ball to shortstop. Didn't get the man at second, but he was retired at first. So he's 0 for 2 on the day. He bats now with 2 outs and a runner on third base. And ball is outside for ball 1. Patrick Williams now on the mound for the Bisons, the second Bisons pitcher of the day. Oh, that one slipped. It looked like it came out of his hand funny. It almost went back to the screen. Nice play by Bertolani to glove that one, and it'll be 2 balls and no strikes on Mantle. With 2 outs and Webble running at third base. 5-0, Creighton leading Lipscomb in the top of the 4th inning. Swung on and hit foul and out of play off to the right side. That was a fastball that was in there. And that'll make the count 2 balls and 1 strike. As I mentioned earlier, the Blue Jays seem to really be sitting on those fastballs, looking for them in the zone and then putting aggressive swings on. So they're coming out aggressive against both starter Noah Thompson and now the reliever Patrick Williams, who's facing his 4th hitter since entering the game earlier this inning. Here's the 2-1. Took something off of that one like a slider, but it stayed downstairs. Another nice play by Bertolani, and it's 3 balls and 1 strike. Dax Roper would be next on deck if Mantle is able to extend the inning here. Adams again shading way up the middle. It's not quite around behind second base, but getting pretty close there. So there is a gap on the right side of the infield. And another off-speed pitch. That one caught the corner, and it's 3 balls and 2 strikes. I think Mantle was hunting that fastball again in that count, Erica, and when he didn't get it, he held back. So it'll be 3 balls and 2 strikes, 2 outs for Ryan Mantle against Patrick Williams, who'd like to hold this line right where it is. Here comes the 3-2, and he missed it. Boy, that was a tough pitch. That was low and inside. And home plate umpire Michael Thomas thought it missed low and inside, so Mantle is aboard, and that'll put runners at the corners with 2 out. And it will bring up Dax Roper, the first baseman. Roper singled into left field back in the second and ultimately scored, and then he popped out into shallow center back in the third. So he's 1 for 2 on the day, and he has a chance to add to this lead for Creighton here in the top half of the 4th inning. Off-speed pitch in there for a strike. Nothing in 1. So looks like Williams has been very successful throwing his off-speed pitch in for a strike so far.
He has, and this is his first action actually of the season. The whole team didn't get to travel to Hoover due to COVID guidelines, so there was a portion of the team that this is the first game that they're at for the season.
Swings through an 87-mile-an-hour fastball there, and quickly it's no balls and 2 strikes. I think that may be a changeup that Williams is throwing. It's really a nice pitch that dives down and is quite difficult to pick up out of the hand compared to his fastball. So he's got Roper in a no-ball, 2-strike count here. Runners at the corners, not running. Misses off the plate with a fastball there, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Webble is your runner at third. Mantle is your runner at first. Got to figure you've got good speed in both of those. Mantle was not running on that last pitch. We'll see if Coach Service decides to put him in motion here with a 1 ball, 2-strike count and 2 outs. And he's not running, and swung on and hit high in the air. I think it's going to get out of play. It's drifting down the third base line. Brian Moore gives it chase, but it's going to land back behind the bullpen. And so we'll do it all over again at 1 ball and 2 strikes. We mentioned last year that Creighton got off to a bit of a slower start for them. They were 5-10 when the season was suspended. They had played at Seattle, lost a series at San Jose State. They did play an opponent that the Bisons will be playing. They played a midweek game against Kansas and lost 3-2. And then also lost a series against Minnesota, and then the season was halted. And Williams gets the strikeout on a fastball going away. So big strikeout there of Roper for Patrick Williams to strand 2 runners. But the Blue Jays do add to their lead. They get 1 run on 2 hits. There were no errors. There were 2 men left on base. And we're in the middle of the 4th inning, and your new score is Creighton 5, Lipscomb 0. You're watching Lipscomb Bisons Baseball on YouTube Live. We're headed to the bottom half of the 4th inning. Creighton leads Lipscomb 5-0, and the right-hander Dylan Tabrock has been masterful so far for the Blue Jays. He's gone 3 innings. He's faced the minimum of 9 batters. He's thrown only 30 pitches. He has 3 strikeouts, no walks. It's not allowed to hit, so he's been terrific. Bisons will see if they can get some offense going. The top of the order, Haddon Adams, was one of those strikeout victims. Got called out to start the game back in the 1st inning, and he'll bat against Dylan Tabrock here in the bottom of the 4th. Starts him out with a slider that stays outside for ball 1. We mentioned Adams off to an excellent start. Came into the game hitting .417, 5 hits and 12 trips on the season, with a triple, a double, and an RBI. And that's a fastball that's going to stay downstairs. 2 balls and no strikes. So something we haven't really seen from Tabrock so far is working behind in the count. And he's behind Adams. 2 balls, no strikes. Tiger Borum waits on deck for the Bisons. And that's a slider that stayed high. 3 balls and no strikes for Adams. So the Bisons looking for their first base runner of the game. They take it however they can get it here, as Tabrock has been very tough on them so far.
Adams typically reaches base about 50% of the time, so the Bisons could really use him to get on base, and that he does with
You
the
spoke it
4th
into
ball.
action, Erica, there. 4 straight balls from Tabrock, so quite a bit different than what we've seen the first 3 innings. And Haddon Adams, the leadoff hitter, is on with good speed, and that brings up the right fielder, Tyler Borum. Borum swung at the first pitch and grounded out to the first baseman, Roper, back in the 1st inning, so he's 0 for 1 on the day. Borum off to a .300 start. He had 3 hits and 10 trips over the first 3 games of the season. Also has an RBI. And left-handed hitter will face the right-hander Tabrock. There goes Adams. He's running. Pitch is taken on the outside corner. Throw to second, and he is out of there. So Vilches catches Adams stealing. Excellent throw by Vilches to catch the speed he had on Adams, trying to get into second base. It was an off-speed pitch, and he handled it well.
I know Adams wanted to be aggressive there, but it might have been more beneficial for the Bisons just to be able to keep someone on base for the moment, because it has been a very quiet afternoon for the Bisons, and it's a little bit shocking that Adams was out there. He actually was 9 for 9 on stolen base attempts last season, so he hasn't been caught stealing a base in 2 years.
And that swung on and hit in the air towards right field. It's sinking down, and it's going to drop in front of Wegner, and so Borum is going to be on board with a base hit. We're going to give him a single on that. Soft liner that was sinking, and Wegner was coming on, but he just couldn't get there and make the play. So Tiger Borum reaches base now, and that will be the Bison's first hit of the day. Second base runner, and brings up the designated hitter, Chris Bachelor. Bachelor was a strikeout victim back in the first inning. He took a called strike 3 from Dylan DeBrock. So DeBrock's seen the first 2 batters reach in this inning. The first one erased by the caught stealing on an excellent play by the catcher Vilchis. And Borum with not much of a lead at first base. And swung on and hit foul out of play. No balls and 1 strike on Chris Bachelor. We mentioned that the Blue Jays will stay here and play Belmont and then again against Lipscomb and go home for the group that we mentioned. They do play again a 4-game series against Kansas, which is the Bison's opponent next weekend. And then they'll get into conference play and pretty much play only conference games after that. So most of their non-conference action earlier in the season. Borum is going to cause DeBrock to step off. He did that extended hold that time. Other teams that the Blue Jays will be playing in the Big East: Villanova, UConn, Georgetown, St. John's, Butler, Seton Hall, Xavier. So a lot of travel for these Creighton Blue Jays, and they've certainly traveled very well here. A number of fans on hand in Nashville to watch their team open the 2021 season. That's a fastball that misses outside, and it will even the count at a ball and a strike on Chris Bachelor. Malik Williams waits on deck. We're playing in the bottom of the 4th inning. Creighton is leading Lipscomb 5-0 after putting up a single run in the second, 3 runs in the third, and another run in the 4th inning. They've scored in 3 of their 4 at-bats so far, and here comes the 1-1. That was the slider missing outside, so a little bit different this inning. We've not seen DeBrock throw that slider for a strike. That was a pitch that was pretty automatic through the first 3. Seems to have lost a little bit of a feel of it this inning. It's gotten behind now. Chris Bachelor, 2 balls and a strike.
Well, you see, it seems to be only inevitable that someone from the Bison's hot-hitting roster would get going in this inning. And to have Adams reach on a walk, he was called out on the stolen base attempt, and then Tiger Borum get the single has really helped out.
Swung on and hit hard to third, and it can't be handled by Mantle. It goes off his glove and out into left field. So Bachelor hit that one hard. We'll see how they score it. If they give him a base hit or if they call that an error. It was a hard hit ball. Mantle did have to take a step to his left. They are going to give that a base hit, and so Bachelor's on board with a hit. Borum will advance to second. The Bisons have their second hit in the inning and their third base runner. So with 2 on and 1 out, that brings up first baseman Malik Williams. Williams grounded out to the third baseman Mantle back in the second inning. And we've got a visit to the mound coming on. We mentioned DeBrock last year in the abbreviated season. He did have 3 starts on the year, or correction, 5 starts. He had a record of 3 wins, 2 losses, an ERA of 2.05. So he started 5 games last year through 26 1/3 innings, giving up 10 runs, 6 of them earned, walked 5 and struck out 24. So he was off to an outstanding start last year as well, and you can certainly see the maturity in this young man who's pitched very well today. And Malik Williams stands in now with 2 on and 1 out. And that's going to bounce all the way away from the catcher into the third base dugout. Both runners will move up. That was a breaking ball that Vilchis looked like it might have kicked off his shin guard, and it immediately headed to the Bison's dugout and hit off the facing there, and he was able to field it. So Borum will advance to third. Bachelor will advance to second. Williams has a 1-ball, no strike count and a chance for the Bisons to get back in this ball game here, trailing 5-0 in the bottom of the 4th inning. Again, DeBrock had really commanded that slider very well through the first 3 innings. It's a little tougher this inning for him. And here comes the 1-0. He goes back to the fastball, and that misses down low. It's 2 balls and no strike.
And I think there's definitely a mental component to it. If it gets away from you once, you can kind of get in your head and continue to repeat that pattern. So it's on DeBrock to just refocus, get back where he was and forget about the couple hits that he's allowed this inning.
That's a fastball at 90 miles an hour that just missed off the outside part of the plate. So it's 3 balls and no strikes to Malik Williams. DeBrock is just a sophomore, 6'2", 215-pounder out of Cold Spring, Minnesota. Played at Rocori High School. So for a young player, has really shown a lot of maturity, a lot of poise on the mound, and obviously is someone that Coach Service has a lot of confidence in. But he's behind Malik Williams 3-0, and he throws the automatic strike through there at 89 miles an hour, 3 balls and 1 strike. The Blue Jays have 5 runs on 5 hits and no errors. The Bisons have no runs on 2 hits and 1 error, but they are threatening here with runners on second and third. 1 man out. We're in the bottom half of the 4th inning. Creighton leading Lipscomb 5-0. Swung on, hit in the air to center field. Upton's going back, still going back, still going back. Gets over his head. It's all the way to the wall. Borum's going to come around to score. They're going to hold Batchelor up at third base, but the Bisons are on the board on a double by Malik Williams. Third hit of the inning, and that one was hit well to straightaway center field. Upton drifted back, but it got over his head. He tried to make an acrobatic play, but it got over him, got to the wall. Batchelor had to hold up because he thought it might be caught, and Upton did a nice job getting the ball back in, and so limiting the damage to just 1 run. But the Bisons are on the board with their first run of the day. Runner's still at second and third, and now Carter Smith is batting. And he takes a fastball for a strike. Smith 0 for 1 on the day. He flew out to center field back in the 2nd inning. Had 2 hits and 9 trips to start out last weekend with an RBI, and he's got a chance to do some damage here with 2 runners in scoring position and 1 out. Swung on, hammered down the left or right field line, all the way to the bullpen. He was right on time on that fastball, but he won't have anything to show for it other than a no ball and 2 strike count. So good swing from Smith. Was right on time with that fastball, but just got ahead of it a bit. So nothing in 2. Batchelor, your runner at third. Williams, your runner at second.
I think we're seeing a little bit of a flip script here. This is what the Bisons had seen defensively was Creighton with a couple of runners in scoring position on multiple occasions, and Creighton was able to take advantage of those opportunities, at least a couple of those times, to get the 5 runs. And Lipscomb really has an awesome opportunity here to get the game within 1 or 2 runs, and it's on to Brock to just get his focus back. I know Creighton has some action down in the bullpen, so we'll be interested to see if there's a
on and tapped, and there's a base hit into center field. They're going to hold Williams. Nope. Now they're going to send him, and throws coming into second, and it looks like Williams is going to score. So RBI base hit from Carter Smith. He hit it into center field. Upton came into field it, bobbled it momentarily. Initially, they were going to hold Williams at third base, but then when Coach Forehand saw him bobble that ball, he waved him home, and the Bisons have their 3rd run of the inning and their 4th hit. So 4 hits so far in this inning, and the Bisons have done just what you said, Erica. They've crept back in it now and closed that gap to 5-3. Nice piece of hitting there from Smith. He looked like he was a little bit fooled on the pitch, but he got just enough of it to guide it out into center field and drive in 2 runs. And he's on at first base now with Maddox Houghton batting. Houghton flew out to right field back in the 2nd inning. Comes in batting .364 on the season, 4 out of 11 over the starting weekend with 3 RBIs. And so he's batting here now with Smith running at first. Swings and hits this one in the air to center field. Upton's going back, still going back, still going back towards right center, and he catches it going away to the deepest part of the ballpark. Smith alertly tagging up and advancing from first to second on that play. So very heads-up set of base running there by Carter Smith. Again, we mentioned he is a very experienced player who has played a lot of baseball, including an appearance in the College World Series, and he tagged up when he saw that ball that was likely to be caught and advanced himself from first to second. So he's in scoring position with 2 out now, and shortstop Robbie Merced stands in. Merced also batting .364 coming in today, 4 hits and 11 trips, including a triple in the opening weekend series. And he bats with 2 outs now and takes a fastball over the outside corner, no balls and 1 strike. So the Bisons finally rallying, showing some signs of life here in this inning. They've closed the gap to 5-3. They got a runner in scoring position with 2 outs, and Dylan DeBrock has struggled a little bit locating his pitches this inning after being lights out for the first 3 innings for the Blue Jays. That's an off-speed pitch. Must have missed low. That's going to be a ball and a strike to Merced. Merced, as you mentioned, a transfer from Fort Scott Community College, 6'1", 177 pounds. Incredible tools for this young man. He's a pleasure to watch in the field. Very smooth fielder, a lot of speed, knows how to handle the bat. And an important addition to this lineup. That one almost got away. Nice play by Vilches to flag that one down. And so it's 2 balls and 1 strike to Merced. So hadn't Adams started the inning, he walked. He was cut down trying to steal second. Then Borum singled. Bachelor reached on a walk. Malik Williams hit a double to center field to drive in a run. Carter Smith hits a single to drive in 2 more. Maddox Houghton just flew out to center. And now Robbie Merced is batting with 1 man on and 2 out. And he swings and hits that one foul and out of play. And it's 2 balls and 2 strikes on Robbie Merced. Coach Forehand telling us that Merced's father played Major League Baseball, and so this young man has a lot of tools, knows the game, runs well, good hitter, very athletic, can play anywhere in the middle infield, but he's come in and inserted himself into the lineup at shortstop. He's facing a 2-2 pitch from Dylan Tabrock here, and he takes strike 3. That was that slider that we saw in the first couple of innings, right on the outside corner for the 3rd strike. But the Bisons do get 3 runs on 3 hits. There were no errors. And there was 1 man left on base, and so your new score after 4 complete is Creighton 5 and Lipscomb 3. You're watching Lipscomb Bisons Baseball on YouTube Live. We head to the top half of the 5th inning, new ball game. Creighton leading Lipscomb 5-3, and the right-hander Patrick Williams back out for his 2nd inning of work. He came on in the 4th inning in relief of the starter Noah Thompson, and did a really excellent job. He's given up 1 hit, walked 1, and struck out 1. He's thrown 20 pitches, and he'll face the 5, 6, 7 hitters for Creighton, Vilches, Roden, and Wagner, here in the top half of inning number 5. Swung on and hammered down the left field line. Is that going to stay fair? No, it's going to hit foul for strike 1. Vilches reached on an error back in the 2nd inning and then reached on a walk and scored a run in the 3rd. So he's 0 for 1 with a run scored on the day. The Blue Jays have 5 runs on 5 hits and 1 error. The Bisons 3 runs on 4 hits, all coming in that last inning, and they've also committed 1 error. And Erica, I think you mentioned there's a little bit of activity in the Creighton bullpen as well.
Yes, Tabrock has done a great job this afternoon, but it looks like that Ryan Wyndham, who's a right-handed pitcher, 6'1" sophomore out of Castle Rock, Colorado, is in the bullpen getting ready for the Blue Jays. So it'll be interesting to see if he starts the second half of the 5th inning, or if he waits for later on in the game to come on, because Tabrock did take control of that 4th inning later on in the inning.
That was an off-speed pitch that Vilches fouled off, and so it's no balls and 2 strikes on David Vilches facing the Bison's freshman right-hander, Patrick Williams, who's done a really nice job since he came in relief of starter Noah Thompson. So here comes the 0-2 pitch, and he swings and taps it to 3rd base. Brian Moore, step to his left, throws over to 1st, and retires him for the 1st out of the inning. That'll bring up the designated hitter, Alan Roden. Roden is 2 for 2 on the day. He's got a single, and then he hit a line drive home run in his last at-bat. So Roden is having himself a day here in Nashville. He seems to see the ball well here at Dugan Field. Left-handed swinger. He's a 6-foot-tall, 215-pound redshirt freshman out of Middleton, Wisconsin. And he'll face Patrick Williams here with 1 out, and the base is empty. Nice pitch on the outside corner. Took just a little bit off of it. Got a call strike 1. We'll update you throughout the day on some of the scores from the other Atlantic Sun Conference teams that are in action, as well as some of the Bison's upcoming opponents. We do have a couple of scores to pass along. Many of the games scheduled for later today, weather dependent throughout the southeast here. Here comes the 0-1 pitch, and that's a fastball that'll stay high, a ball and a strike. So already a final score. Kennesaw State fell to number 23 West Virginia by a score of 13-3. In some other action, Northern Kentucky is leading Belmont 4-1 in the top half of the 6th inning. There's that off-speed pitch changeup, and it stays low, 2 balls and a strike. So for some other upcoming Bison opponents, Middle Tennessee is tied with Bowling Green 3-3 in the 9th inning. Army has beaten Austin Peay 2-1 today. And the Citadel is leading North Florida 7-0 in the 4th inning. Swung on and hit over Adams' head at second base. It's going to go all the way toward the right field wall. Borum's over to cut it off, and quickly gets it back in to hold Roden to a single. But a nice piece of hitting, and Roden has himself a 3 for 3 day. He is really seeing the ball well today. Tip your hat to that young man. That was hit like a laser beam right at Haddon Adams. It got over his head, and Borum made a long run in right field, quickly got over and cut it off. So
that's especially impressive because this is their first game of the season. Just as a reminder, this is their season debut. Roden has not faced a live pitcher in it's been over a year now.
Yep, been a year, and so he's having himself a day. We're going to have a pitching change here. Coach Forehand has gone to the mound, and we're going to see a call to the bullpen, so we'll step aside for a moment. Again, we're in the 5th inning, and your score is Creighton 5 and Lipscomb 3. You're watching Lipscomb Bison's Baseball on YouTube Live. The new Bison's pitcher is the sophomore right-hander, Scott Elgin. Elgin, a 6'1", 222-pounder out of Hoover, Alabama, and Hoover High School. This is his 2nd appearance on the season. He pitched once over the weekend in opening action. Went 3 innings, gave up 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned runs, walked 1, and struck out 3. Elgin pitched a fair bit last year in the abbreviated season, including an outstanding start against Alabama on a Friday night where he took that ball game into extra innings with an excellent outing against the Crimson Tide. So a young man who's got some experience on the mound. He comes in inheriting a runner at first base. That's Alan Roden. He's running there with 1 out in the top half of the 5th inning, with Creighton leading Lipscomb 5-3. And standing in is the right fielder Jared Wagner to face Scott Elgin. He starts him off with a fastball on the outside corner for strike 1. Wagner hit a sacrifice fly back in the 2nd inning to drive in the Blue Jays' first run, and then got called out on strikes in the 3rd, so he's 0 for 1 with an RBI today. Roden, your runner at first. Doesn't look like he runs particularly well. And he swings through a breaking ball, and 0-2 will be the count. So Elgin does what you want to do out of the bullpen, come in and get ahead of Wagner. And he's got him in an 0-2 hole here with 1 out. We mentioned other ASUN Conference action scheduled later today. Kansas is at Florida Gulf Coast. Liberty is playing at TCU, 14th ranked TCU, in a series that we'll be watching. North Alabama plays at Stetson. There's a breaking ball down in the dirt. Bertolani keeps it in front of him, and as a result, Roden is unable to advance. So it's 1 ball and 2 strikes, the count on Wagner. Other ASUN games, Bellarmine and Central Michigan have already been canceled due to weather. Jacksonville is at Troy later today, weather permitting. So 1 ball, 2 strikes on Jared Wagner. And that one's going to miss as well. It's going to even the count at 2-2. Scoreboard showing 2 balls and 1 strike, but I've got 2-2 on my score sheet here. I remember a foul ball and then a strike that I believe was called. So I think we're at 2-2. I'm going to disagree with the scoreboard on this one. And now they've caught up to agree with us, Eric. So 2-2. And 1 out. He goes. Swung on the ground to third base. Moore gets up with it, goes to second for 1. Adams turns it to first, not in time. So slow hit ball. Turned well by Brian Moore at third base. But Wagner will reach on the fielder's choice. And Roden will be cut down at second base for the 2nd out of the inning. So Elgin comes in and gets a ground ball. And now with 2 outs, Wagner running at first. It'll be the shortstop Sterling Hayes. Hayes flew out to left field in the 2nd and then hit a line drive home run shot back in the 4th inning to drive in, or a solo shot rather, over the left field fence in the 4th inning. So he's 1 for 2 on the day, and he looks at an off-speed pitch for a strike, 0-1. Again, Hayes really hit that ball hard back in the 4th inning. It got out of here in a hurry over that left center field fence. And he'll bat now with 2 outs and a man on at first. 0-1 as Scott Elgin comes set. Goes over to first and chases Wagner back.
And last season, Wagner only stole 1 base. He had 100% base stealing percentage, but he only had the 1 attempt. So
swung on and tapped foul down the third base line. Like an off-speed pitch as well, so it's 0-2 now on Sterling Hayes. So Elgin's done a really nice job, come in and filled up the zone, thrown strikes, just what you'd like to see. He's the 3rd Bison's pitcher of the day. Noah Thompson started and went 3 innings, and then Patrick Williams came in and shut the door to keep this one where we are with no runs allowed on his part. And now Scott Elgin takes the mound for the Bisons. No ball, 2 strike count. Breaking ball down. Did he go? They're going to appeal to the first base umpire, Brock Ballou, and he says no. So it'll be a ball and 2 strikes. Elgin's coming in and throwing a lot of those breaking balls. Elgin's a young man that throws a lot of pitches. He throws a 4-seamer, a 2-seamer, a slider, a changeup, a little bit of a cutter. So you can see a lot of different spin action out of this young man's hand and always around the zone. So he's ahead in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Runner takes off from first. This one bounces in front of the plate. No chance for Bertolani. That one skipped up there, kind of came out of his hand funny. And it'll be 2 balls and 2 strikes. And Wagner will be credited with a stolen base.
you mentioned how many pitches that Elgin has in his arsenal. He's been very aggressive towards Hayes. Hayes has been aggressive all afternoon. He had a deep fly out in the 2nd and then a home run in the 4th. So Elgin has done a good job of keeping him at bay so far.
And he gets called strike 3 there on the inside corner. Nice pitch fastball in there to get out Hayes and retire him. and to strand a runner at second. So big pitch there from Scott Elgin, who does a terrific job coming in from the bullpen. So in the inning, there were no runs on one hit, there were no errors, and there was one man left on base. And we're in the middle of the fifth inning, and your score, Creighton 5, Lipscomb 3. You're watching Lipscomb Bison's Baseball on YouTube Live. We're headed to the bottom half of the fifth inning, and due up for the Bisons is 8-9-1, Bertolani, Moore, and Adams to face the right-hander Dylan TeBrock. TeBrock, again, done an excellent job so far today. He's pitched 4 complete innings, given up 4 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. He's faced 16 batters, and he's working on a pitch count of 55 pitches entering the fifth inning here. So he mowed the Bisons down in order for 3 straight frames. Last inning, the Bisons were able to get a little bit of a threat going. We'll see what they can do here with Bertolani. He stands in 0 for 1 on the day, having flied out to right field in his first at-bat in the third inning. Starts him out with that breaking ball, and this one stays high for ball 1. We mentioned the Bisons scheduled to be back in action tomorrow, a doubleheader against Northern Kentucky. First game scheduled to start at noon. Again, we'll have to watch the weather and keep that written in pencil, I think. He checks his swing and fouls that one back to the screen, for even the count at a ball and a strike. So the Bison scheduled to play Northern Kentucky a doubleheader tomorrow, and then Creighton scheduled to come back here on Sunday. In the meantime, Northern Kentucky is at Belmont today, and they will switch places with Creighton, who will go to Belmont and play a doubleheader tomorrow, as the clubs exchange this round-robin format. That's a breaking pitch that stays high, and again, the count 2 balls and 1 strike. We now see that Belmont's gone ahead of Northern Kentucky 5-4 in the bottom half of the 6th inning. Again, that's in game 1. They're scheduled to play another game, weather permitting, here today. Here's the 2-1 pitch to Bertolani. He swings and fouls that out of play, and it'll be 2 balls and 2 strikes to the Bison's catcher. Sophomore was off to a good start on the season. He had 1 hit and 4 official trips despite playing in 3 games. He also drew a couple of walks in the games in Hoover. And he faces a 2-2 pitch, just missed inside. That was that backdoor slider. He tried to cut that in from the inside corner, and that's going to run the count full to Bertolani to 3 balls and 2 strikes. You always wonder, Erica, if those catchers get those calls when they're hitters. You know, they stand back there with that umpire. Maybe there's a little bond going on, but we'll take it. It's a 3-ball, 2-strike count. Didn't get it that time, though. Gets a called strike 3. Nice fastball through the outside edge there, and Bertolani is retired on the strikeout for out number 1.
It really seemed like in the 4th inning that TeBrock kind of lost control of his slider for the first part of the inning. That's when the Bisons were able to get those 3 runs, but the coaching staff trusted him to stay out there and regain control, and he's done just that and has continued to prove to be a problem for the Bisons this afternoon.
Brian Moore watches a fastball high and inside for ball 1. Brian is 0 for 1 on the day. He struck out swinging back in the 3rd inning. Yeah, you mentioned that many times these starting pitchers just have to fight through some of those stretches, and TeBrock's done a really nice job of that. Shown a lot of poise on the mound. You can see why Coach Cervais is high on this young man. He's done an excellent job today getting the ball in their very first action of the season. Swung on and hit high and foul out of play. That'll even the count at a ball and a strike for Brian Moore.
Brian Moore has been quiet so far this season, but he opened up last season being the ASUN Player of the Week, so I really expect Brian Moore to get going in the next few games.
That's a breaking pitch that'll stay high, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike on Moore, batting with 1 out here. Bottom of the 5th inning, Creighton leading Lipscomb 5-3. We mentioned the Bison's home for a doubleheader tomorrow with Northern Kentucky, a single game here with Creighton on Sunday. And the 2-1 must have missed low. That's 3 balls and 1 strike. Coming up next week, the Bisons are traveling to Clarksville to play Austin Peay on Tuesday, and then they'll be home next weekend for a 4-game series against Kansas. A little bit of an unusual series. Single games on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So 4 straight days of baseball here at Dugan Field. And that's going to be a strike through there. And that'll even the count, or I'm sorry, take the count to 3 balls and 2 strikes on Brian Moore. Looks like he took something off that breaking pitch and got it in there for strike 2. Not afraid to throw that pitch in any count. He threw it there in a 3-1 count. So the count's full to Brian Moore. And DeBrock delivers. Swung on and tapped foul out of play. Stayed alive. That was that fastball on the outside corner. He's done, as I mentioned, a really good job pitching to both sides of the plate. Early on, he was working a lot inside. He's been working outside some now. And so impressed with this right-hander, Dylan DeBrock, just a sophomore, but he's done an excellent job here for the Blue Jays today. He's gone all the way, working in his 5th inning of work here. And here's the payoff to Moore. Strike 3 called over the outside corner. There was a fastball.
Moore definitely thought that was a ball. He was taken off to first.
That's going to be the 5th strikeout of the day. Correction, 6th strikeout of the day for DeBrock. So he's got 6 strikeouts here through 4 2/3 innings, and as we mentioned, has done an excellent job. That'll bring up Haddon Adams. Adams is one of those strikeout victims, called out in the 1st inning, and then he walked and was cut down stealing in the 4th. So he's 0 for 1 on the day. And that one was off the plate that time. Another thing that DeBrock has done a nice job is holding on to his velocity. His fastball has been right at 89 or 90 throughout the whole day, and he's maintaining there. He's not lost anything off of that. So got to be impressed with this young sophomore right-hander.
I think it definitely helped that he only had 30 pitches in the first 3 innings.
And Haddon Adams is going to have a base hit. He tops a soft liner out into left field, but it's going to count in the box score as a line drive because he's on with a base hit. And he'll be on base for the 2nd time today. And that'll bring up right fielder Tiger Borum. Borum grounded out to the first baseman back in the 1st inning and then reached on a single and eventually scored a run in the 4th inning. And so Borum is 1 for 2 on the day. Came in batting at 300. He was 3 for 10 on the opening weekend with an RBI. Left-handed hitting freshman who's played his way into the lineup here in his 1st season on campus. Not much of a lead for Adams, and Borum swings and hits it past Adams in the right field. That's going to be a base hit. Adams had to hold up to avoid getting hit with that ball. It was hit right where he was taking a lead off, and Borum's got his 2nd hit of the day. And the Bisons again have a threat going here with 2 outs in the bottom half of the 5th inning. So 2 straight singles after DeBrock had struck out the first 2 Bisons of the inning. Now you've got 2 straight singles, and so runners in 1st and 2nd for the designated hitter Chris Bachelor. Bachelor's 1 for 2 on the day. He's got a single and a strikeout, and we've got a mound visit going, and this might be all for DeBrock. He's up to 71 pitches. As we mentioned early in the season, we know these coaches like to keep those pitch counts down somewhat. Looks like there is still some activity down in the Creighton bullpen. From our vantage point, Erica, I can't get a name or a number on who it is, but I do see someone warming up and throwing. So we'll see if the Blue Jays elect to make a change here. Creighton has 5 runs on 6 hits and 1 error. The Bisons have 3 runs on 6 hits, and they've also committed 1 error. We're in the bottom half of the 5th inning, an opening day here at Dugan Field. First game of the year for Creighton, and the 4th game of the year for the Bisons, who come in at 2 wins and 1 loss, but it's their first home game of the season. Over the last 11 seasons, the Bisons are 7 wins and 4 losses in opening day games here at Dugan Field. So looks like they're going to stick with DeBrock. He's going to stay on the mound, and he's going to face Chris Bachelor. 2 on, 2 out. Bottom half of inning number 5. Outfield is fairly shallow in left and center, considering the power that Bachelor has, but they are playing in a little bit. He swings and hits the first pitch foul, and it's going to get out of play on the right side. 0-1. I'm a little surprised where the left fielder Webble is playing. He's playing quite a ways off the line towards center field, and he's also what I would consider to be somewhat shallow. So interesting defensive alignment. The center fielder, Upton, is also shallow and shaded toward right field. So they're really shading Bachelor toward the right field side for the right-handed hitter here. And we'll see how they elect to pitch to him on a no-ball, 1-strike count. Swung on and hit to right field. It's going down the line. It's curving, and it's going to get out foul into the bullpen. So That'll put Bachelor in a no ball, 2-strike count. And perhaps that's why the Blue Jays are playing him that way, as they look like they're pitching him outside from this. The infield is fairly straight and normal depth, what I would consider almost double play depth in the middle, and the corners in their normal position. So outfield alignment is the thing that's a little bit unusual here with Bachelor batting. But he's got a no ball, 2-strike count, and he's got 2 outs and 2 men on, and he swings and fouls that one straight back. That was a 91-mile-an-hour fastball. DeBrock really reached back and put something extra on that one, trying to get Bachelor punched out there. He's got 2 strikeouts in this inning. He's got 6 overall on the day. And he would love to strand 2 Bisons right where they are. And meanwhile, Bachelor would love to get a swing and have a chance to tie this game. So no balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Adams, your runner at second. Borum, your runner at first. Good speed at both bases there. Both of those guys can really run. And you have to feel they'll be running with 2 outs. Here comes the 0-2 from DeBrock. Bounces, it gets away from Vilchis. Not too far, but both runners were quick to read the dirt ball. And they'll each take a free 90 feet there. So tough chance for Vilchis. That really bounced away. Didn't get away too far, but both of those guys, as we mentioned, have good speed. And that'll go as a wild pitch and advance each runner up 90 feet. So runner second and third now. That'll be a ball and 2 strikes on Bachelor. And we'll see how they elect to pitch to Bachelor here. Once again, the outfield staying in that same alignment that we mentioned before. Infield in a normal positioning. Swung on and hit in the air to center field. Upton going back, still going back. He's going to have room. He's going to camp under it, and he is going to get the out there. So Bachelor got a hold of it, but he hits it straight out towards center field and is retired for the 3rd out in the inning. So on the inning for the Bisons, they don't score. They do have 2 hits. There's no errors, and they did leave 2 men on base. They've stranded 3 now through the first 5 innings. So we've completed 5 innings of play at Dugan Field. Your score, Creighton 5 and Lipscomb 3. You're watching Lipscomb Bisons Baseball on YouTube Live. We head to the top half of the 6th inning, and Scott Elgin is back on the mound for the Bisons. He's the 3rd Bisons pitcher of the day. Noah Thompson started and went 3 innings, gave up 5 runs and 4 earned. Patrick Williams came in, went an inning and a third with 2 hits, didn't allow a run, and now Elgin has pitched 2/3 of an inning and didn't allow a run, coming on to get a couple of big outs there in the bottom half of the 5th inning. As we head to the 6th inning, here for your play-by-play is Erica Plunkett.
Thank you, Dr. Sills. Elgin is coming up for his 2nd inning of work. He had 10 pitches in the 5th inning and now faces Meggs, who had a single in the 2nd and a flyout in the 4th. And the first pitch is low and inside, outside the strike zone, for the count to be 1-0. Elgin pitches again, and Meggs fouls back into the net to even the count 1-1. Elgin was really aggressive in the 5th inning and was able to get a stop, not allowing any more runs for the Blue Jays, even with a runner that he inherited on first base. The 3rd pitch is up, a little bit high outside the strike zone, moving the count to 2 balls and 1 strike. Here comes the pitch. Meggs hits it deep. Carter Smith is running back out, but it is gone. That is another home run for the Blue Jays. Home runs have been a problem all season long for the Bisons, and that adds another one to the tally. That's going to bring your score to Creighton 6, Lipscomb 3. Creighton has those 6 runs off of 7 hits and only counting 1 error. The Bisons have 3 runs off of 6 hits and 1 error. So another home run for the Blue Jays and another home run against the Bisons. And now Elgin will face the top of the lineup, Webble, who hits it deep into center field off the first pitch. Borum will come up to get the ball, get it into Adams, but he is not in time. That is a double for the leadoff, Webble. And not a great start to the 6th inning for the Bisons. They now have a runner in scoring position. They already had a home run on the inning, and they have 0 outs against the Blue Jays. You see some communication between the pitching coach and the catcher, Bertolani. As Dr. Sills mentioned earlier, there is a new wristband system for the pitchers and catchers on the Bison's team. Here comes the pitch, once again low and inside on the left-handed batter, Upton. Upton reached base twice via the walk, once in the first and once in the third, and then had a line out in the 4th inning. The count is now 1-0 after that low outside pitch. Elgin takes another look at his wristband to get the pitch. Here comes the pitch. And it's bunted up and back. And Bertolani makes a diving catch behind the plate to get the foul out against Upton. Great play by Bertolani, great awareness. Just an unlucky bounce for Upton. But I know the Bisons are grateful to get that first out of the 6th inning, as now they face Mantle. He had a fly out in the first, a fielder's choice out in the 3rd, and then walked in the 4th. So it's 0-2 on the afternoon. Here comes the pitch. Another low ball from Elgin. And that'll be another ball for the right-handed pitcher. Here comes another pitch, and he got Mantle to swing at that one and even the count. 1-1. There is a runner, Webble, on second base. Here comes the 3rd pitch of this at-bat. Low, but just inside the strike zone, outside of Mantle's reach. And Elgin gets ahead of the batter, 1 ball to 2 strikes. And Mantle gets that one deep into right field, just too shallow for Borum to get a handle on it, but too far back for Williams to get it as well. So the Blue Jays now have runners on 1st and 3rd and are threatening the Bisons yet again. They only have 1 out in this inning, and they already have a home run in this 6th frame. They now face Roper, who had a single in the 2nd, a fly out in the 3rd, and struck out in the 4th. And that pitch is right inside the strike zone for Elgin to get ahead in the count. 0 balls and 1 strike against Roper. That ball is tipped back and moves the count to 0-2. And you see both runners not given too much of a head start. Elgin's not too worried about a stolen base. You've got infield a little bit deeper than normal, with the exception of Malik Williams. And Elgin catches Roper striking out on that ball. That's 2 outs for the Blue Jays. 2 runners on base, and here comes up the catcher, Vilches. He reached on an error in the second. He reached on a walk in the third, and then he had a line out in the fifth. Sounds like there might be a meeting at the mound with Elgin. I'm not sure who is in the bullpen ready to go for the Bisons, but this might be the end of the afternoon for Scott Elgin.
Yeah, I don't see anyone throwing down there right now. Erica, there's a lot of activity. Well, there's a lot of guys in the bullpen period. As you know, the expanded rosters this year, and with COVID precautions, they try to keep the pitchers all in the bullpen. So there are a lot of bodies down there, but I don't see anyone actually throwing at the moment. So I would suspect that this is going to be Elgin's game to stay with, at least for the time being. And it appears it is. Coach Crawford making his way back to the dugout.
And after that meeting, Elgin is ready to go against Vilches. It's Webble at third and Mantle at first for the Blue Jays. 6 runs off of 9 hits and 1 error against the Bisons. 3 runs, 6 hits, and 1 error. There comes the first pitch, just a little bit outside of the strike zone. 1 ball and 1 strike against Vilches for Elgin. Just couldn't get that ball inside the strike zone. That one's hit deep by Vilches. Carter Smith can't get to it in time. That's a deep ball. He gets out to the warning track, fields the ball, but doesn't stop Webble from scoring another run for the Blue Jays, bringing the score 7-3 off of 10 hits for Creighton, and that advances Mantle to third, and Vilches gets a double off of that, moving to second. So the Blue Jays now have 2 runners in scoring position and 2 outs in the top of the 6th inning.
Nice piece of hitting there by Vilches. Just reached out and poked that one down the line. Carter Smith, good speed in left field, but he just couldn't get over to cut that out in time. And as you mentioned, got down for the hit.
And currently, Elgin faces Roden, who reached on a fielder's choice in the second, had a home run in the third, and a singled in the fifth. So Roden has had a great afternoon for the Blue Jays. The first pitch goes in for a strike, and the second pitch gets up to center field, sneaks past Elgin and Haddon Adams, and brings home 2 Creighton Blue Jays, bringing the score 9-3. Both Mantle and Webble scored, or rather, Mantle and Vilches scored, and Roden is now at first.
Yeah, good piece of hitting there by Roden. Again, didn't try to do too much, just took that straight back up the middle, and both runners running with 2 outs, obviously men on second and third, and they were easily able to score. So a nice piece of hitting there. Roden didn't try to do too much with it, handled the bat really well, and has his 3rd hit of the day.
And Elgin now faces Wagner, who had a sac fly in the second, was struck out looking in the third, and reached by a fielder's choice in the fifth, and had a stolen base in the fifth as well. The pitch count is now 0-1. And here comes the second pitch. Wagner takes that one, gets across the way to Brian Moore, who gets it to Haddon Adams to get that 3rd out of the 6th inning. So the Bisons were able to stop the bleeding, at least for a moment. The score after the top half of the 6th is Creighton 9 off of 11 hits and 1 error, and Lipscomb 3 off of 6 hits and 1 error. You're watching Lipscomb Bisons baseball on YouTube.
head to the home half of the 6th inning, there has been a pitching change for the Blue Jays. The sophomore right-hander Ryan Wyndham, 6'1", 190 pounds, out of Castle Rock, Colorado, has come on in relief of starter Dylan Tabrock, who was terrific through the first 5 innings. Wyndham pitched last year 4 appearances, started 3 games, had an 0-3 record with a 9.39 ERA. Right-hander comes in to face Williams, Smith, and Houghton. And to tell you all about it, here is Erica Plunkett.
And Wyndham's first pitch is just a little bit low for a ball. He faces Malik Williams, who grounded out in the 2nd and had a double and a run in the 4th. Malik is a really powerful hitter, tough to go up against for pitchers. There's another ball from Wyndham, just a little bit outside the zone. That ball is low, but just inside the strike zone to bring the count to 2-1 for the sophomore out of Castle Rock, Colorado. And Malik swings at that one and misses and evens the count at 2-2. For the Bisons, I think it's really important that they get going here in the 6th inning. Now down 9-3. Pitch is a little bit high to bring the count full to 3-2.
Yeah, Wyndham a hard thrower. He's throwing 90, 92 miles an hour on those fastballs that we've seen so far this inning.
Malik stays alive, fouling that one out to the parking garage. It looks like Wyndham is ready to go. And that ball is hit straight up center field by Malik Williams. It will bring him on base for a single. Great piece of hitting by Malik Williams. Sometimes he lets his power get the best of him and try too hard, but just a really smart piece of hitting. Snuck it right in between the second baseman and the shortstop to get it deep into center field for a single for the Bisons. That's the Bisons' 8th hit of the afternoon. And it brings up to the plate Carter Smith, the transfer out of Florida State. That ball is inside, but just enough into the strike zone for the count to be 0-1 for Wyndham. Smith flew out in the 2nd and had a single in the 4th when the Bisons were able to get some runs scored to try to bring this game closer before the Blue Jays took control again in the top of this inning. Smith hits that one up into center field, but it wasn't able to get past the second baseman for the Blue Jays. Meggs was able to pitch that one over to Hayes at second base, get Malik Williams out, but Carter Smith did reach first base. The Bisons now have 1 out in the bottom of the 6th inning, and it brings to the plate the center fielder Maddox Houghton. Maddox Houghton coming in this afternoon had a 3.364 batting average, but he's flown out twice this afternoon. And that ball is just a little bit high to bring the count 1-0.
Activity down in the Bison's bullpen. The right-hander Bryce Einstein is losing, so we may be seeing him in the 7th inning.
Here comes the second pitch. Houghton sends that one back into the parking garage to even the count at 1-1. Houghton has been really aggressive this afternoon, but hasn't been able to benefit from that yet.
It appears Wyndham's pretty much coming in and challenging these hitters with fastball after fastball. He's got that live fastball that he tends to run to the outside part of the plate.
Great catch by Wyndham. Houghton sent it straight up to him. It did advance Carter Smith to second, but that racked up a second out for the Bisons.
It looks like he was a little indecisive there. The ball was not hit sharply, but you could tell that Wyndham was trying to decide, should I go to second and try to turn 2? I think he would have easily gotten the lead runner Smith at second because Ball did get back to him pretty quickly. It would have been tough to turn to because Houghton does run well, as you know. But regardless, he changed his mind, went to first, and that advances Carter Smith into scoring position with 2 outs and a runner at second base, and Houghton is retired. Here comes Robbie Merced.
Merced is facing the pitch. He had a flyout and a strikeout on the afternoon, and that first pitch is a strike from Wyndham, who just continues to attack with his fastball. His coaches trust him, and the Bison's batters just haven't been able to take advantage of that yet.
Yeah, no secret what he's doing. He's just challenging them, coming in there with that fastball.
And Merced is caught at first for the third out. He hit the ball into the infield, but third baseman Mantle was just quick enough to get that over to first and get Roper.
Yeah, really nice play by Mantle there. It was a tough chance. It was in between hops, slow hit ball. He had to come in, field it on the run, and make that throw. That's not an easy play. Mantle made it look easy, and of course Merced runs well, but he made the play.
Absolutely. Well, we are now at the end of the 6th inning. Your score, Creighton, 9 runs off of 11 hits and 1 error, and Lipscomb 3 runs off of 7 hits and 1 error. You're watching Lipscomb Bison's baseball on YouTube.
We move to the 7th inning. We've got a pitching change for the Bisons. They bring on their 4th pitcher of the day, and he is Bryce Einstein, a 6'3", 188-pound freshman out of Fort Myers, Florida, from Canterbury School. It's his first action for the 2020 season. Side-arming right-hander who throws a variety of pitches, a 2-seamer, a slider, and a changeup from that sidearm slot. And he will be facing the 8-9-1 hitters for the Blue Jays. And here to tell you about it is Erica Plunkett.
And Einstein now faces Hayes, who had a flyout in the 2nd, a home run in the 4th, and was struck out in the 5th. Einstein's first pitch is a strike. And the count is now 0-1 against Hayes, who is the shortstop for the Blue Jays. Here comes the 2nd pitch. Sidearm just a little bit outside the plate to even the count at 1-1.
Einstein, he throws a pitch that it's almost hard to call whether it's a slider or a curve, a slurve maybe, and he does have some sink on his fastball, so it's a very different angle, difficult for hitters to pick up, and makes him effective from that sidearm slot.
And that one he is able to corral to bring inside the strike zone to bring the count to 1-2 against Hayes. You mentioned it's a unique pitch that he has. It's also a unique way that he throws it. You don't see many pitchers pitch like that. But that one Hayes is able to connect with. Merced comes up and gets it across to Malik Williams to get the first out of the 7th inning for the Bisons. I'm sure they're grateful to get it out earlier rather than later.
Do have a final score, Erica, from that game between Belmont and Northern Kentucky. Apparently they only played 7 innings because they are playing a doubleheader today, but Belmont took that game 5-4 over Northern Kentucky in game 1 of a planned doubleheader. Again, Northern Kentucky to be here for a doubleheader at Dugan Field tomorrow starting at noon.
And now Einstein faces Meggs, the 2nd baseman for the Creighton Blue Jays. He had a single in the second, a flyout in the fourth, and a home run in the sixth. And the count. And Meggs hits it up into right field, but Tyler Borum comes across to get that fly out against Meggs. Really impressive work by Tyler Borum. He's not super tall, but he was able to stretch out and get that one for the Bisons. And now Creighton already has 2 outs here in the 7th inning. And coming up is the leadoff man, Webble. Webble had 2 flyouts to start off the game, but then had a single in the 4th and a double in the 6th. And here comes the first pitch from Einstein to Webble. It's just outside with that slurve ball, as you called it. And pitch number 2 is coming, and Webble tries to bunt it, but it just goes back, and so that'll even the count at 1 ball and 1 strike against Webble here in the 7th inning.
Couple of score updates, Erica, from other Atlantic Sun Conference teams. Again, West Virginia has beaten Kennesaw State 13-3. Citadel continues to lead North Florida 7-0 in the top of the 6th inning.
And here comes that third pitch against Webble. Once again, a little bit outside. So 2 balls, 1 strike against the leadoff man. 2 outs for the Creighton Blue Jays here in the top of the 7th inning. Pitch low inside, not really fast, only 65 miles an hour from Einstein, but it caught Webble off guard and he gets a strike from it. So 2 balls, 2 strikes against the left fielder for the Creighton Blue Jays. Webble stays alive with a fouled ball back into the net.
A couple of other scores. There are 3 teams joining the ASUN next season, Erica. Jacksonville State, Northern Kentucky, and Central Arkansas. They're all in action today. Eastern Kentucky, correction. And 2 of those teams are in action. Jacksonville State leading Valparaiso 3-1 in the 4th, and Missouri State is beating Central Arkansas 5-1 in the 6th.
And Einstein catches Webble looking here in the 7th inning. That will end the top of the 7th inning. We'll go into the 7th inning stretch. Your score, Creighton 9 off of 11 hits, 1 error. Lipscomb 3 runs off of 7 hits and 1 error. You're watching Lipscomb Bisons Baseball on YouTube.
Right-hander Ryan Wyndham is back out for another inning of work for Creighton. He has come on and pitched well so far. He's thrown 1 inning, given up only 1 hit, has not allowed a run, has not walked anybody, has not struck out anybody. He's faced 4 batters and thrown 14 pitches so far in the game to this point, and he will be facing the 8, 9, and 1 hitters for the Bisons, Chaz Bertolani, Brian Moore, and Haddon Adams. And once again, to tell you about it, here is Erica Plunkett.
And like Doc Allen said, Chaz Bertolani is up to the plate. Bertolani had a flyout in the 3rd and a strikeout in the 5th. He is batting .250 on the season so far, facing Wyndham. That pitch, incredible athleticism from the second baseman, Meggs, to jump up and get that ball from Bertolani. It was a good hit by Bertolani, but Meggs was able to stop it from going deep into center field, and that is the first out of the inning for the Bisons here in the bottom of the 7th.
Yeah, really nice play by Meggs. That ball was hit sharply by Bertolani, but Meggs hadn't played perfectly. Went right at him. He timed his jump perfectly and stole a base hit away from Bertolani. So nice play by second baseman Meggs.
And now up to the plate is Brian Moore. The first ball was just outside for Ryan Wyndham. 1 ball, 0 strikes from the sophomore against Moore, who's had 2 outs so far this afternoon. He tips that one back, bringing the count to 1-1.
Got some scores from the top 25 here. Top 25 baseball action today. We mentioned West Virginia has beaten Kennesaw State 13-3. Oklahoma upset number 21 Auburn 4-3. Western Illinois upset number 4 Louisville 8-3. These are all finals. And Georgia Tech, ranked 15th, is beating North Carolina State 8-2 in the 9th inning.
And Wyndham just brings that ball inside, bringing the count 2 balls, 1 strike against Moore. Wyndham has just been attacking these pitchers with a lot of fastballs and trusting his strength against their batting. But that ball, a little bit high. He hasn't had as much control of the fastball here in the 7th inning as he did in the 6th. Your count now 3-1 against Moore. And that pitch is just too low for Wyndham. That'll bring Moore on base for the first time this afternoon on a walk. And coming up to the plate now is the leadoff man, the preseason ASUN Player of the Year, Haddon Adams. Adams struck out in the 1st. He walked in the 4th and had a single in the 5th. When the Bisons need something to get going, Adams is their man. And now he faces the sophomore Wyndham, hoping to get some momentum going here for the Bisons in the 7th. Try to bring up their score deficit. That ball is hit into center field from Adams. That'll bring Moore to second, and Adams will get to first.
Second hit on the day for Haddon Adams. He's got 2 trips and 3 at-bats, and the Bison's got a little bit of a threat going here with 1 out in the bottom of the 7th inning.
And that brings up to the plate left-handed freshman Tiger Borum. He is 2 for 3 on the day, 2 singles in the 4th and 5th. You've got a runner in scoring position with Brian Moore at second, and Haddon Adams is at first. The pitch is inside for Wyndham, another fastball, bringing that count 0-1 against the freshman. Both Moore and Adams are very capable base stealers, so Wyndham has to keep an eye for that. That ball is fouled out by Borum. Another fastball from Wyndham.
Outfield playing pretty shallow at this point, Erica. We got shallow with Webble in left, Upton in center, and Wegner in right. He's a little bit deeper, and you got double play depth up the middle. The third baseman Mantle shading off the line over on the left side of the infield for the left-handed hitting Borum.
And that ball is low, but none of the Bison's runners try to advance on that one.
And nice play by Vilches to block that up in the dirt. That ball was outside. It was in the the right-handed hitter batter's box, and he quickly scooted over. Vilches has really done a nice job today. Been impressed with him. Shown good arm, shown excellent skills back behind the plate, and clearly has framed his pitches well on the outside corner. So nice job for the Blue Jays catcher.
Your count now 1-2. Here comes the pitch, and catches Borum swinging on that one. That'll be the second out of the inning for the Bisons. There are still 2 runners on. Wyndham would love to strand both Adams and Moore going up against Bachelor. Bachelor had a strikeout in the 1st, a flyout in the 5th, and did have a single in the 4th. And here comes the pitch from Wyndham. Takes a look back at his runners. And that ball was just too low. Another fastball from Wyndham, and he's had a little less control over that this inning. He's had a few more wild pitches than he did.
Haven't seen a lot of off-speed stuff. Wyndham just basically, again, challenging these Bison's hitters with fastballs in the zone. Likes to work on the outside corner away from these right-handers, and has done a good job of it.
And that time he does get the strike called from the umpire to even the count at 1-1. Like you mentioned, another low right corner.
Yeah, he's done a good job painting that outside corner. That pitch tends to dart away. It looks like it's probably got a little bit of four-seam action on it going away from these Bison's right-handed hitters, but he's been tough on them so far.
That ball is low, but that is another strike from Wyndham.
Yeah, and that was a slider that we haven't seen a lot of. And boy, you got to think that this young man, if he can locate that slider consistently with that 90-mile-an-hour fastball, he's going to be a tough handle on the mound. Haven't seen a lot of that breaking pitch, but he threw that one kind of a backdoor slider that he started inside and cut over the inside part of the plate.
And Bachelor fouls the ball back into the Bison's dugout. His teammates all have to jump, but it does keep Bachelor alive at the plate with Adams at first and Moore at second. Neither Adams nor Moore shows any signs of trying to steal bases. Your score right now, Creighton at 9 off of 11 hits and 1 error. Lipscomb 3 off of 8 hits and 1 error.
That was that slider there again. He came back with that backdoor slider, and Bachelor fouled it off.
Bachelor fouls yet another ball.
Yeah, same pitch again. That's 3 straight in a row that he's done that, what I'd call a backdoor slider, that he starts out inside and tries to cut it over the inside part of the plate. So he's thrown 3 in a row. He's thrown it in the same place. Bachelor took one of them, fouled one of them to the left side, fouled one of them to the right side. So we'll see if he can straighten one out maybe at this point if he comes back yet again. It's interesting that he's chosen that 3 in a row because he's really worked that fastball over that outside corner. Bachelor, a good fastball hitter, and I'm sure there's a bit of a book on him for the Blue Jays, but we'll see how they elect to pitch him here on the 1-2.
And the pitch is low, but just inside to get that third strike. And that'll be the third out for the Bison. So at the end of 7, Creighton leads 9-3. Creighton has 9 runs off of 11 hits and 1 error. The Bisons have 3 runs off of 8 hits and 1 error. You're watching Lipscomb Bisons baseball on YouTube.
We're headed to the top half of the 8th inning. My thanks to my co-host Erica Plunkett for handling the play-by-play duties during those 2 innings. The right-hander Bryce Einstein is back for another inning of work for the Bisons. He's going to be facing 2, 3, and 4, Upton, Mantle, and Roper for the Creighton Blue Jays. The Blue Jays have 9 runs on 11 hits. They've committed 1 error. The Lipscomb Bisons 3 runs on 8 hits, and they've also committed 1 error. And we're battling in the top of the 8th inning. Creighton 9, Lipscomb 3. And Parker Upton leading it off, and he takes a fastball high for ball 1. Noah Thompson went the first 3 innings. Then Patrick Williams pitched an inning and a third. Scott Elgin went 1 2/3. And Bryce Einstein now working in his 2nd inning of work as the 4th Bison's hurler of the day. And he swings through that one on the outside corner, even the count at a ball and a strike. Upton walked back in the 1st. He also walked in the 3rd, grounded out in the 4th, flew out in the 6th. So doesn't have a hit to show. 0 for 2 officially on the day. He swings through that one foul, and the count will be a ball and 2 strikes on Parker Upton. Ryan Mantle waits on deck. Again, Bison's scheduled to be back in action tomorrow with a doubleheader against Northern Kentucky. First game beginning at noon, the second game to follow. We'll be tracking the weather, and you can keep an eye on Lipscomb Bison's baseball on social media to have updates along the way. Swings and fouls that one back again as well. Staying alive at a ball and 2 strikes is Parker Upton against Bryce Einstein. Once again, Creighton will head across town to play Belmont tomorrow. They're scheduled to play a doubleheader, also starting at 1 p.m. tomorrow at Rose Park against the Belmont Bruins. Here comes the 1-2 offering, just off the corner. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Upton. Still got a little bit of activity in the Bison's bullpen. That appears to be the right-hander J.T. Caver that's loosening. Again, the Bisons used 4 hurlers on the day, and Creighton has used 2 so far with a terrific start coming from Dylan to Brock. That one's still floated inside, and that'll run the count full. 3 balls and 2 strikes on Parker Upton. Again, overcast day here. Miraculously, the rain has held off. It was forecast that we might get a little break. We're expecting it to come back tonight. The wind has picked up and is blowing towards that left field line again from the south. Swung on and fouled out of play to the left side, back over Allen Arena. And we'll do it all again with a 3-ball, 2-strike count. We congratulate Bison's groundskeeper Colby Rawls for having the field in such great playing shape. It's been a brutal stretch of weather. Last week, the Nashville area was completely snow and ice covered for a 7-day period of time. So to get the field ready to play today, a lot of great work by Colby, who does a terrific job all throughout the season. That was fouled down the left field line, and it'll keep the count at 3 balls and 2 strikes. That was floating on the outside part of the plate. Upton did a nice job there, just fighting that off, spoiling it off, and staying alive. Got to give credit to these Blue Jay hitters. They've done an excellent job all day, attacking fastballs in the zone, spoiling those pitches that they don't want any part of. And this one swung on a flare down the left field line, giving chase is third baseman Moore and left fielder Smith, but it's going to drop into foul territory somewhat harmlessly there. The Blue Jays again with 11 hits on the day. They've struck out 5 times and they've received 4 walks total. So good job on the offensive approach. As we mentioned, for the first action of the season for Creighton, their hitters have done a really nice job coming in here and putting the ball in play, moving runners around, and they have used the long ball today with 3 home runs that have gotten them on the board and supplied a lot of their firepower. So we've got a 3-ball and 2-strike count on Parker Upton, and he waits for an offering from Bryce Einstein. It's going to stay high for ball 4, and he's going to draw a leadoff walk here in the 8th inning. That's going to bring up the third baseman, Ryan Mantle. Mantle flew out to right field back in the first, reached on a fielder's choice in the third. He walked in the 4th, and then he singled and scored a run in the 6th inning. So 1 for 3 with a run scored on the day. And he'll stand in batting with a runner on first base. Strings through that one for strike 1. Bison's playing him pretty straight away and fairly deep. Smith is deep in left field here. Mantle batting in that third hole. You know that he's there for a reason. He's likely got some pop in that bat. He's a solidly built 5'10", 205-pound redshirt senior. Here comes the 0-1. That one's going to float outside for a ball. That'll even the count at 1 ball and 1 strike.
And it looks like Haddon Adams, the second baseman, has shaded a little bit left.
Yep, definitely playing up the middle here. Big hole on the right side because Williams is holding the runner on at first. So you've got 90 feet of open dirt over there if he elects to go that way. And that one's going to stay outside as well for ball 2. Bertolani popped up and thought about the snap throw to first, but Upton was not too far off the base. Really haven't seen the Blue Jays run much and wouldn't expect them to really here in the 8th inning, up 6 runs. But they do have speed and something to always be alert about here. So Bryce Einstein, his 2-ball, 1-strike count on Ryan Mantle. Like a backdoor slider there that did not get the call, didn't get the corner, so it's 3-1 now. And Einstein's in a hole against Mantle. J.T. Caver still throwing down in the Bison's bullpen. There is some activity in the Creighton bullpen. Again, it's hard to see from our vantage point, but we could see a change there for the Blue Jays as they face the 8th and 9th inning. Here comes the 3-1 pitch. And he gets the call across the outside corner. I don't know if that's a changeup or that slur. It was 65 miles an hour. It's just floating in there kind of like a frisbee and froze Mantle, and he watched it. So it's going to be a full count. We'll see if they elect to start the runner Upton. He's got good speed over at first base. Got a reasonable lead. And he's running with the pitch. Swings through it. Strike 3 and the throw to second, and he got him. Nice play by Bertolani there. Really turned that around quickly because that's a Off-speed pitch coming to the plate, so it's a strikeout, throw him out kind of double play, which is always a pitcher's best friend. So excellent play on both ends there. Nice pitch from Einstein. Great handle by Bertolani, who throws out Upton, who's cut down as he ran to second. So now that makes 2 outs and bases empty for Dax Roper, the first baseman. Roper has singled, flied out to center, struck out swinging, and struck out again. So he's 1 for 4 on the day, and he looks at a strike there. 0-1. Einstein again done a nice job since he's come on. An inning and 2/3. Just hasn't given up a run or a hit. And his off-speed stuff has really bothered these Blue Jay hitters who clearly have been sitting on fastballs much of the day. And so the off-speed offerings and the different arm angles from Einstein have really given them fits. And he's quickly ahead of Roper. No balls and 2 strikes. Again, 2 outs, top of the 8th inning, and Creighton leading Lipscomb 9-3. That one's going to float a bit further outside. He doesn't offer at it. It's a ball and 2 strikes to Roper. I got to think, Erica, this is almost like slow pitch softball. The balls, they see those balls coming in. It's just so hard to hold up that change of speed, and it makes Einstein really effective when he's throwing these different arm angles and a lot of movement on those pitches. Sinking action on the fastball, a lot of spin on the breaking ball. So he's gives them a lot of different looks that makes it tough on these right-handed hitters with the ball coming across their body. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes on Dax Roper. The catcher Vilches waits on deck, and he would be next if Roper is able to extend the inning. He swings and hits this very high. It's fouled back towards the dugout, and I believe it is going to get out of play. Bertolani and Williams give it chase, and it bounces off the top of the first base dugout.
As you mentioned, how this slow pitch actually can give them more problems than a fast pitch. You spend so much time developing and getting up to being able to hit at that speed, and then all of your practice, you have to go back a little bit and you have to remember everything that you used to do, and that sometimes takes a little while to adjust to.
2-2 pitch hit down the line, foul, and we'll do it again at a 2-ball, 2-strike count. Roper's doing a nice job extending a bat here. He was fooled on that, and it was outside. He just reached around and pulled it foul to extend the at-bat.
And Einstein has done a really good job here with that off-speed pitch, rather. You mentioned JT Caver is down there in Lipscomb's bullpen, and it looks like the junior right-handed pitcher Alex Losbrick is down in Creighton's bullpen.
That one stays low and inside for ball 3, so we'll run the count full on Dax Roper, and he's getting his money's worth in this at-bat, extending it, fouling off a couple pitches, and taking it all the way full now. We've been playing for 2 hours and 35 minutes here, and in the top half of the 8th inning on a gloomy, cloudy day, but the home opener here for the Bisons, and that swung on and hit in the air to center field. Houghton's going back. He's still going back, goes to the wall, looks up, and gone. A home run.
The home run just continues to be a problem for Lipscomb. Every pitcher that we've seen today has gotten good control of the game and then just seemed to lose it. Off of a Blue Jays home run. That's just adding to their total 10 runs now on the afternoon for the Blue Jays.
I didn't think that ball was that well hit off the bat. It looked like Houghton had a bead on it, and he just kind of kept going back. It kept drifting. The wind has actually shifted and blowing out a little bit that way, but that one carried a lot better than I thought it would off the bat. I thought off the bat that he was going to corral that, but Roper pokes it over the fence for a home run, and that brings up David Vilches, the catcher. Vilches has reached on an error, grounded into a fielder's choice, and then doubled and scored a run, and he takes a strike there. No balls and 1 strike. Again, very impressed with this young man behind the plate today. He's done an excellent job handling the pitching staff. He's blocked well. He's thrown the ball well. So very nice player here, David Vilches, a junior 5'10", 200-pounder out of Sheridan, Arkansas, and transfer from Eastern Oklahoma State College. So he may well have some family here watching today in person, and if not, if they're watching online, congratulations. This young man has done an excellent job. He swings through that one, and it's no balls and 2 strikes. Bases are empty. We're in the top half of the 8th inning, and Creighton is leading Lipscomb 10-3. And here comes the 0-2 offering from Bryce Einstein. That one's going to miss outside. It's going to be a ball and 2 strikes. Again, Creighton traveled extraordinarily well. I would guess that they have 75 to 100 fans that have made the trip here and are stationed in socially distant and masked areas on the field. We do have special precautions this year at Dugan Field, so they're asking fans to wear masks in the stands and to stay distant from each other, and everyone's doing a good job with that today. He swings through that one for a strike 3. So Einstein winds up recording 2 strikeouts in the inning, but the Blue Jays do pick up another run on the home run off the bat of Roper. So we're in the middle of the 8th inning, and your new score, Creighton 10 and Lipscomb 3. You're watching Lipscomb Bison's Baseball on YouTube Live. We're headed to the home half of the 8th inning, and we've got a pitching change on, or for the Blue Jays, rather. They bring out their 3rd hurler of the day. It's the junior right-hander Alex Lipscomb, a 6'4", 215-pounder out of Adrian, Minnesota, and transfer from the University of Sioux Falls. Lipscomb looked like he had 6 appearances last year on the season, all in relief, had ended up with an ERA of 3.97. He did not have a record, pitched 11 1/3 innings, giving up 6 runs, 5 earned, walked 8, and struck out 7 on the 2020 season. Obviously his first action of this season, since this is Creighton's opening game. And he's going to face the heart of the order, 4-5-6. The Bison's last couple of chances to do something. It's Malik Williams, Carter Smith, and Maddox Houghton. And Williams will start it out for the Bisons. Swings and fouls that one out of play, 0-1. Williams grounded out back in the 2nd inning, hit a double and scored a run, and drove in drove in 1 in the 4th, and then singled and was stranded in the 6th inning. So he's 2 for 3 on the day. Swings and hits a base hit into right field. So as you mentioned earlier, Erica, one of the nice things to see from Malik Williams, not trying to do too much with that pitch, just going with it. It was on the outside half of the plate. He poked it into right field, got it between 1st and 2nd, and he's aboard to give the Bisons a leadoff runner for left fielder Carter Smith. Smith is 1 for 3 on the day. Flew out to center, has a single, and then hit into a fielder's choice back in the 6th inning. That one comes inside and stays low for a ball. It'll be a ball and no strikes. Double play depth up the middle. Outfield playing fairly deep. As you'd expect in the late innings, they're going to try to protect that lead and don't want any balls to be hit over their head. Left-handed hitting Smith, and he'll watch that one. And that's going to get through Vilches, go all the way to the backstop. That's going to allow Williams to reach 2nd. And I'd be interested if they ruled out a wild pitch or a pass ball. It didn't look like it was in the dirt, and it just looked like Vilches didn't have the glove on it there. But regardless, it advances Malik Williams out to 2nd base, and it brings a 2-ball, no-strike count on the senior left fielder, Carter Smith, transfer from Florida State, making his Dugan Field debut here today for the Bisons. And here's the 2-0. Swung on, hit high in the air towards right field, not very deep. Wegner's drifting over, still coming in, now getting called off by Upton, and the center fielder Upton will make the play to retire Carter Smith. That one was hit quite high, but not very deep, and so Smith is retired, and Williams will hold at 2nd. Brings up center fielder Maddox Houghton. He's 0 for 3 on the day. He's flied out to right field, flied out to center field, and hit into a fielder's choice. So Maddox looking for his first hit on the day.
It's very uncharacteristic of Maddox Houghton not to reach base at least once. I'd love to see him take control of this pitch, like we mentioned with Malik, not try to do too much, just get on base.
That swung on and hit in the air towards center field. Upton takes a few steps back, now comes in, now coming in more, and he reaches it. Williams is tagging and advancing from second. He's going to get to third. And so Houghton is retired again on a fly ball out to center field, but it does allow Williams to tag and reach third base. But it's 2 outs in the inning now for the shortstop, Robbie Merced. Merced has flied out to right field, struck out on, gotten called out on strikes, and then grounded out to third base. So he's 0 for 3 on the day, looking for his first hit on the day. He bats with 2 outs and a runner at third base. Your score is Creighton 10 and Lipscomb 3. We're in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Alec Loosbrook, the third hitter for the day for Creighton. He throws a slider on the outside part of the plate. Merced tried to check his swing and couldn't. And home plate umpire Michael Thomas says that's strike 1. So no balls and 1 strike on Merced. I think I'm starting to see a little bit of rainfall out there, Erica, just lightly, as we sort of have expected. But we've been able to get the majority of this game in, which I know the teams are grateful for. That's a breaking ball that stays downstairs, and that'll even the count at a ball and a strike. Again, Creighton headed across town to play a doubleheader against Belmont tomorrow, and the Bisons will be back here at Ken Dugan Field for a doubleheader against Northern Kentucky, with the first game scheduled to start at 12 noon. Here comes the 1-1 offering to Merced. Swung on, hit back up the middle. Diving attempt by Hayes. It gets past him. And Williams is going to come around to score the Bison's 4th run of the day. So an RBI single for Robbie Merced. Nice piece of hitting there. Hit it right back up the middle. Diving effort from Hayes, but he couldn't quite get to it. And so the Bisons have 2 hits in this inning and have scored a run and are still alive now with the catcher Chaz Bertolani coming to the plate. Bertolani, robbed of a base hit his last at-bat, hit a line shot that the second baseman Meggs jumped up and speared. He's also struck out and flied out to right field, so 0 for 3 on the day, but really hit it on the numbers last time. And he'll bat here. Interestingly, they're not really holding Merced on at first. We'll see if he decides to take advantage of that, and he sure does. He takes off, and there's not going to be a throw. He's going to go in with one of the easier stolen bases that he will ever get. So, and meanwhile, Bertolani took a slider across for a strike. No balls, 1 strike. Not sure why they elected not to hold him on there. It was kind of giving him a free base. I understand wanting to cover some ground, but it might have been a miscommunication there. A little bit of look into the dugout. But regardless, Merced is on at second with good speed. 2 outs and a 1 ball, no strike count on Bertolani. That's another slider and caught the outside corner. Really nice pitch there. Got to tip your hat to Loosbrock. That was a good pitch in a good spot, and he now has Bertolani in a hole. I have him no balls and 2 strikes. The scoreboard has him 1 ball and 1 strike. What do you have on your scorecard, Eric? Or do you have a...
I believe you're correct, because the first one was a strike before the stolen base.
Yeah. Swung on, hit back up the middle. Meggs is drifting over, gets it behind the bag, throws to first, and he's going to get Bertolani there. Nice play by Meggs. He had to range way behind the bag at second, and he throws out Bertolani for the 3rd out in the inning. But the Bisons do pick up a run on 2 hits. They wind up stranding one batter. They've stranded a total of 7 through 8 innings. We're through 8 complete innings, and your score, Creighton 10 and Lipscomb 4. You're watching Lipscomb Bisons Baseball on YouTube Live. We head to the ninth inning, and we've got a pitching change for the Bisons. The sophomore right-hander J.T. Caver comes to the mound, a 5'10", 180-pounder out of Salon, Ohio. Caver making his first action for the 2021 season. He is the 5th Bisons pitcher for the day. Noah Thompson started, went 3 innings. Patrick Williams an inning and a third. Scott Elgin an inning and 2/3. Bryce Einstein 2 innings, and now J.T. Caver on to pitch the 9th inning. And he will be facing, for the Creighton Blue Jays, the 6, 7, and 8 hitters, Roden, Wagner, and Hayes. Again, Lipscomb trailing Creighton 10-4, as the Blue Jays have done some damage by the long ball today. And Caver starts out with a fastball that's just off the plate for ball 1. Roden has a home run today, one of those home runs. He also has 3 singles actually. So he's working on a 4-for-4 day with a home run. This is a gentleman that doesn't want to see this game in, Erica. He'd like to stay here all evening probably and swing. Swings through an off-speed pitch there from Caver. Caver has a really nice changeup that you'll see that he has perfected, and that was that pitch there. He also throws a 4-seamer and a 2-seamer and a slider, but that changeup is really his weapon pitch, and you saw it there. It's extremely effective, and will dive into the right-hander when it's working well. It's like he comes back with it there, and it stays high, and it's 2 balls and a strike.
Caver isn't the only change for the Bisons in the 9th inning. There's also a new first baseman for the Bisons, freshman Hunter Gray out of Blue Ridge, Georgia. He's a 6'2", first baseman that went to Fannin County High School in Georgia.
And I've got 3 balls and 1 strike on Alex Roden, and that one's going to miss low, and he's going to draw a walk. So Roden walks, and that'll bring up the right fielder, Jared Wagner. Wagner drove in the first Blue Jays run of the day with a sacrifice fly. He's also struck out, hit into a fielder's choice, and grounded out. So he's officially 0 for 3 on the day, but with an RBI, and he bats now with a runner on at first base, and nobody out here in the top half of the 9th inning. Creighton 10 and Lipscomb 4, and J.T. Caver on the mound for the Bisons. Swung on and hit off the fist into center field. Houghton's coming on, still coming on, and he's going to get a beat on that one. Jammed him on the inside and got him to fly out to Maddox Houghton for the first out of the inning. So that's 1 down. Roden will go back to first, and that'll bring up the shortstop Sterling Hayes. Hayes also has one of those home runs on the day. He hit that back in the 4th inning. He has also flied out, struck out, and grounded out. So 1 for 4, but his 1 hit was a big one today with a solo shot back in the 4th inning, part of the 11 hits that Creighton has banged out today. That one stays high, and it'll be 1 ball and no strikes on Sterling Hayes. Do see the rain coming down now a bit. It's coming down fairly steadily. Lots of umbrellas out. As you look up in the lights, you can see, I don't know if that's coming through on your screen at home, but we've got a pretty steady rain that's falling at this point. But I think they're going to do what they can to get this game in. There's that changeup, very effective, and he swings through it for a ball and a strike. So that's a signature pitch from Caver. You saw that changeup there. Looks just like that fastball coming out of his hand, but then dives down and in, and really effective on these right-handed pitchers, or right-handed hitters rather. So a ball and a strike on Sterling Hayes. Alan Roden is running at first base. That one just missed the inside corner. That was a close pitch, but he doesn't get the call. It's 2 balls and a strike. Second baseman Adams again shaded up the middle. He's not quite behind the bag at second, but he's only a step or 2 to the first base side of the bag. Third baseman Moore is back at third base. Merced in a standard position, outfield straight away, and normal depth. And it's a 2-ball, 1-strike count to Sterling Hayes. There's a breaking pitch, looked like maybe a slider, and it's in there for a strike, so 2 balls and 2 strikes. So again, Caver with 2 different off-speed pitches that he's throwing with confidence. That change-up that dives in, and then that slider that comes away makes him effective to both sides of the plate with the off-speed. And here's a 2-2 offering coming to Sterling Hayes. As a call, strike 3. That was a change-up. Really nice pitch there from J.T. Caver. And that's out number 2 of the inning, and Caver's first strikeout. And that'll bring up Andrew Meggs, the second baseman. Rain really starting to come down pretty hard now, but again, field in good shape, and it should take a little water for the rest of this game with being in the 9th inning. Meggs has a couple of base hits on the day, one of which was a big one, a home run. He's also flied out to center and to right, so he's 2 for 4 on the day, one of those being a home run. And he takes that one high for ball 1. 10 runs, 11 hits, and 1 error for the Creighton Blue Jays. 4 runs, 10 hits, and 1 error for the Lipscomb Bisons. Opening day action here at Ken Dugan Field. First action of the season for Creighton. Lipscomb came in with a record of 2 wins and 1 loss after playing 3 games in Hoover, Alabama at the start of the week. And swung on and hit foul on the right-hand side. I believe that's going to make the bullpen. Gray's giving chase from first. Borum giving chase from right. But neither of them are going to reach that one. That one's going to get out. You mentioned Hunter Gray coming on. His first action of the season, Erica. And first action in college for this freshman out of Blue Ridge, Georgia. Always a thrill for any of these freshmen to see their first action. And so hope that his family's either in attendance or if not, if they're watching and enjoying watching their son play here today. So we got a 1-ball, 1-strike count on Andrew Meggs with 2 outs. Swung on and hit foul, this time to the left side. So he's fouled it off to both sides. That looked like a changeup again. It was way out in front, as you would expect. And that'll send Roden back to first base. And Meggs back to the plate. So a 1-2 pitch is going to be on the way from J.T. Caver to Andrew Meggs. Caver's going to come set. Swung on, tapped in front of the plate. Bertolani's going to let Caver take it. He throws inside, throws wild. It's going to get past Gray and go down into right field. And that's unfortunate. Caver made a really good pitch there. Meggs barely got a piece of it, rather. But he's going to reach on the error, and that's going to allow Roden to go all the way over to third base. So that's the second Bison's error on the day. And that was a tough chance, but Bertolani allowed Caver to field it, and he just threw slightly wide of the new first baseman, Gray, over at first base. So runners on the corners, back to the top of the order for David Webble. Feels like he's batted about 11 times today, Erica, but it turns out that this is his 6th plate appearance. He's flied out to the left, he's flied out to center, he's singled, he's doubled, and he struck out. So 2 for 5 on the day for the leadoff hitter. He's also scored a run, so he's done what you want, gotten on base and gotten around and scored. And there's that changeup that he swings through for strike 1.
And JT has done a good job coming on here in the 9th and not letting the Blue Jays add too much to it. He does need to watch out for the runner on third, but the changeup has proved to be problematic for Creighton.
Swung on and tapped into the hole. It's going to get into left field for a base hit. And Mr. Webble is going to have his 3rd hit of the day, and he's going to have another RBI. And the Blue Jays are going to tack on their 11th run of the day as Roden is going to come around to score. Meggs is going to stop at second base there. That was a soft hit ball, but it just found that 6-hole between the third baseman and the shortstop. And so nice piece of hitting there by Webble. That's going to bring up the center fielder, Parker Upton. Upton has walked twice, popped out to the catcher on a bunt attempt, and then walked again. So 3 walks and a pop out as well as a ground out. So he's 0 for 2, but been on base 3 times today. And he's going to bat with 2 outs and a runner at second base. It's Creighton 11 and Lipscomb 4, and we got a little delay on the mound. I think what JT's doing is pulling on that wristband. You know, as we mentioned earlier, the Lipscomb pitchers are using a wristband system when they have a runner on second base. So he had to stop and pull the wristband out and get it so he could take the signs from the dugout. Pitching coach Grayson Crawford relaying signs in to both his pitcher and catcher when there's a runner on second base. So that was the delay. Got a shift on, pretty heavy shift for the Bisons. The second baseman Adams pulled way over in the hole, and shortstop Borum almost straight up the middle. So a reasonable shift on with 2 outs and 2 on. That looked like a slider that caught the inside part of the plate for strike 1.
The Bison's team really uses a lot of cool technology to get their players ready to go. They have a VR setup that they use frequently just to prepare them for in-game action when they can't have in-game action. So they have a lot of new pieces that they're trying to implement into their roster to make the team the best it possibly can be.
That one's going to stay high for a ball. And Eric, I believe we missed one other change. There is a new catcher behind the plate. I believe that's Trey Ham that's come on to catch. We will check that. Should be number 14, freshman Trey Ham behind the plate. So we'll check that after this pitch. That one's going to stay high for a ball, and that's going to be 2 balls and 1 strike. I believe that's Trey Ham, the
I believe so.
6'1", 224-pound freshman out of Perry, Georgia, getting his first action of the 2021 season. So sorry that we didn't pick up that change earlier, but
It's hard to tell with their padding on.
the gear makes it a little bit different. But there's that change up that he swings through, and that'll make it 2 balls and 2 strikes. So Upton took a big hack at it, didn't get a hold of it. As again, that changeup for a left-handed hitter, it's diving away from him. Fading type action on that pitch from Caver. And we've got a 2-ball, 2-strike count. There are 2 outs. There are 2 men on base. We're battling in the top of the 9th inning, and Creighton is leading Lipscomb 11-4. Rain coming down really steady right now as it started about the last part of the last inning and has picked up in intensity, which is about what the weather man told us would happen. So here is a swing and a hit towards first base. Adams fields it. He throws to first and is not going to be in time. So unfortunate play there. It was a softly hit ball. Adams had him played well, pulled over into the hole between first and second. Gray, the first baseman, had retreated over. Caver was trying to get there. They both sprinted there, got to the bag about the same time, but just couldn't make the play. So I believe that'll be an infield hit for Upton.
And even more than not being able to get that out for the Bisons, that almost was bad with a collision between Caver and Gray at first. It's wet. It's a little bit slippery, more slippery than normal, so there could have been a fall had they actually collided.
So the bases are loaded for Ryan Mantle now. He'll bat with 2 outs and the bases full of Blue Jays in the top half of the 9th inning. They're threatened to add to their 11-4 lead, and he swings through an off-speed pitch for 0-1. Mantle has had 1 hit in 3 official trips today. He's flied out in the first, hit into a fielder's choice, walked, had a single, and then struck out swinging. So batting in the 3rd hole, again, you know that he's got a chance to do some damage up there. This redshirt senior who's hitting with the bases full and 2 outs here in the top of the 9th inning. And that one almost hit him. It gets away from Ham, but not too far. Drifts down toward the first base line. And he's able to keep it there, and the runners will stay put. So imagine you'll start to see some of this. You're asking for a new ball. It's hard to keep that ball dry with the rain coming down the way it is. And any of these balls that get put in play and skid across the grass are certainly going to be wet when someone goes to grab it. So steady rain falling here at Dugan Field in the 9th inning. I do see some heaters out as well, so I'm sure that it's getting a bit raw out there in the conditions as you expect. February baseball, college baseball, the first month or 2 of the season, you just have to deal with some of these conditions on a regular basis. 1 ball, 1 strike. Here comes the pitch from Caver. That misses inside, and it's 2-1. No place to put Mantle. The base runners right now are Meggs at 3rd, Webble is at 2nd, and Parker Upton is running at first base. Dax Roper would be next if the inning is extended. Here comes a 2-1 pitch from Caver. Swings and fouls it at the plate. Looks like that was the changeup that was fading in, and he just got a piece of it to stay alive and take the count to 2-2. A couple other scores. Florida Gulf Coast and Kansas are underway now. Kansas leading 1-0 in the 1st inning. The Citadel leads North Florida 7-4 in the bottom of the 7th. North Alabama leading Stetson 1-0 in the top of the 2nd. And here comes the 2-2 pitch to Ryan Mantle. And he swings through it, and strike 3. Big strike out there for J.T. Caver. Again, I think that was that changeup. And a big pitch there to strand 3 runners. But the Blue Jays do tack on another run. They get 1 more run. They had 2 hits. There was 1 Bison error, and there were 3 men left on base. And we're going to head to the home half of the 9th inning. Last chance for the Bisons as they try to cut into a lead that is Creighton 11 and Lipscomb 4. You're watching Lipscomb Bisons Baseball on YouTube Live. We're headed to the home half of the ninth inning, and there's been a pitching change for the Blue Jays. The right-hander John Sikowski, a 6'2", 200-pound senior out of Omaha, Nebraska. He went to Creighton Prep, so he's a lifer, it appears, Erica, in the Omaha area. He's on to pitch. Sikowski appeared in 6 games last year, starting 1. He ended up with a 1-1 record with a 2.35 ERA. He threw 15 1/3 innings. Gave up 13 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned, walked 4, and struck out 10. And the Blue Jays will call on him to close it out here. He'll be facing 9-1-2 scheduled for the Bisons, which is Moore, Adams, and Borum. Last chance as Lipscomb trails 11-4. Needs a whole lot of action here in the bottom of the ninth inning to extend this game.
I think we may actually have a pinch hitter for the Bisons. Sophomore out of Orlando, Florida, transfer in from St. John's River Community College, August Haymaker. I'm a utility player. He's 5'11", 196. Now going up against Sikowski here in the top of the ninth in the first pitch. It looks like.
Yep, looked inside. I think that's a ball 1. So correct. August Haymaker making his Bison's debut here. Again, a transfer from St. John's River Community College. He takes that one high. 2 balls and no strikes. The radar gun's not working at the moment, but it looks like that Sikowski's getting it up there pretty well. I would guess that one's right around 90 miles an hour. Rain's still falling pretty hard here in the bottom of the ninth inning. And that one caught the inside corner. It kind of dropped down into a little more of a sidearm slot there. So 2 balls and 1 strike on August Haymaker. Pinch hitting for third baseman Brian Moore for the Bisons here in the bottom of the ninth inning. And that's a breaking pitch that floats across the outside corner, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes now. So Sikowski's fought back from that 2-0 count to throw a couple of strikes, and see what he does here on the 2-2 pitch to Haymaker. Swung and fouled against the screen. The count will stay 2-2. We mentioned Haymaker's a transfer from St. John's River State College. Played in 22 games last year. Hit .327 there with 16 hits at 6 RBIs. And he can play a number of positions around the infield. Here comes the 2-2. Swung on and tapped back to the mound. Sikowski's going to feel it. It's going to jog over to first. And he's going to retire Haymaker for the first out of the inning. That'll take us back to the top of the order. And second baseman Haddon Adams. Adams has had 2 base hits and 4 plate appearances. He also walked and struck out, so he's 2 for 3 on the day. Continuing the excellent start. He came into the game hitting .417, and he's increased that, and he fouls it off for strike 1. Again, your preseason Atlantic Sun Conference Player of the Year, Haddon Adams, and he's off to a start deserving of those honors as he's been swinging it well and, of course, defending it well in the field, as you always expect. And that one bounced about 57 feet, I believe. That was a ball and a strike. As I mentioned, with the rain coming down, I'm sure the ball gets slick, and it's going to be some unusual grips that you're going to see out there. But it's a ball and a strike to Haddon Adams. Swung on and hit in the air toward the right side. Wegner's drifting over, still drifting over. He's in foul ground, and that's going to make the bullpen. So that's going to take the count to a ball and 2 strikes on Haddon Adams. Just kind of spoiled that one and fouled it off into the bullpen.
And not only is Haddon Adams one of the Bison's best hitters, if not the best hitter, one thing Coach Forehand said about him was not only was he excited for him to get to come back and, get a second chance at his senior season, but he said that he was excited for Haddon to get to lead him and just learn from him. So he's also just a huge leader in the locker room, in the dugout, and does a great job on and off the field.
That one floated outside, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes on Haddon Adams, batting with the bases empty, 1 out, bottom of the ninth inning, and Creighton leading Lipscomb 11-4. Yeah, Haddon Adams, clearly the motor of this team, as Coach Forehand likes to call him, and has done a great job, and it's great to see these guys get a chance to come back for a full senior season. He spoils that one and fouls it off at the plate. Sikowski is the 4th hurler of the day for Creighton. Tabraki went 5 strong innings. Wyndham went 2. Loosbrock pitched 1, and now Sikowski is on to close this thing off. So they've done an excellent job across the board, giving up Only 3 earned runs for the day have the Blue Jays pitchers. And here comes the 2-2, swung on and fouled again. And Adams again stays alive. Tabraki especially did an excellent job. He had one rough inning where he gave up a couple of runs, but outside of that, he was really lights out. He came up and pitched 3 straight 1-2-3 innings to start the game, really set the tone for the Blue Jays and allowed them to extend their lead as they started to tack on some runs. So tip your hat to that young man. Here comes the 2-2, and he swings through a fastball, strike 3. So the Bisons are down to their final out, and that'll come in the person of Tiger Borum, correction.
I think there's just too many Tylers on the baseball team.
There could be. We do have a lot of those. We've got a couple of hits on the day for Borum. He's got a couple of singles. He also grounded out and struck out, so he's 2 for 4 on the day. Came in batting .300 and is going to extend that, and he's the Bison's last chance, and that's going to miss inside and low for a ball.
Well, you mentioned that tomorrow, weather permitting, there will be a doubleheader here against Northern Kentucky, who is currently playing Belmont, and then Creighton will go over to Belmont. Nashville's known for country music, but it's really a great town for college baseball. You've got Lipscomb, Belmont, Trevecca, Austin Peay's not too far away, and of course Vanderbilt, the reigning NCAA champion. So it's a really great opportunity for teams to come in and get several games at once. And there goes the final out. Tiger Borum hits it in for a pop out to the shortstop.
Line shot from Borum, and that's going to be the 3rd out of the inning, and that's going to do it for the Bisons as they are retired 1-2-3 here in the 9th inning with no runs, no hits, and no one left on base. And so that's going to do it for the first game of this broken 2-game series between Lipscomb and Creighton. Just to recap the action today, Creighton got the scoring started in the 2nd inning when Dax Roper singled and was moved around on a base hit by Roden, and he scored on a sacrifice fly by Jared Wagner. Creighton extended their lead in the 3rd inning when Parker Upton drew a walk. It was advanced on a fielder's choice. There was another walk to Vilchis, and then Alan Roden hit a 3-run home run to put the Blue Jays up 4-0. At that point, they tacked on another run in the 4th inning on a solo home run from Sterling Hayes. The Bisons then got their offense going finally after 3 straight innings of going 3 up and 3 down against the fine starter Dylan Tabraki. The Bisons were able to get something going in the 4th inning. Haddon Adams led off with a walk. Tiger Borum singled. Chris Bachelor singled, and then Malik Williams doubled. Adams had been caught stealing, so Borum scored, and then Bachelor was able to score when Carter Smith followed with a base hit. So the Bisons tacked 3 runs back on in the 4th inning. However, Creighton went back to work and scored again in the 6th inning. This time they started with a solo home run from Meggs, followed by a double from Webble, a single from Mantle, and then a double from Vilchis, who drove in another run. And then there was a single from Roden spliced in as well. And so the Blue Jays were able to tack on 4 runs in the 6th inning. There was no scoring then until the 8th inning. The Blue Jays came back and tacked on another insurance run at that point. It started with a walk to Upton and followed by a home run from Roper after Upton had been caught stealing. So they only scored 1 in that frame. They tacked on an insurance run in the 9th as Roden walked, advanced around on an error, and scored on the single off the bat of Webble. The Bisons did tack on a run in the 8th. That was courtesy of a base hit by Malik Williams, followed by a single from Robbie Merced, who drove in Williams, who had advanced on a wild pitch and a fielder's choice, and that was the end of the scoring for the Bison. So the final line score for today's game for Creighton, 11 runs on 13 hits. There was 1 error. And for the Bisons, 4 runs on 10 hits, and they committed 2 errors. I believe the winning pitcher will go to the starter, Dylan Tabraki, who did an outstanding job for the Blue Jays today. The losing pitcher, I believe, will be the starter, Noah Thompson, who was the first of the Bison pitchers who took the field today. The time of the game is 3 hours and 12 minutes. Reminder fans that the next action for Lipscomb baseball will be tomorrow. The Bisons are scheduled to take on Northern Kentucky with a first pitch at noon Central Time. That will be our next telecast for Lipscomb Bison baseball, so join us again tomorrow. We'll be on the air about 11:55 a.m. Central Time with the first pitch scheduled for noon between Lipscomb and Northern Kentucky. Our special thanks to Lipscomb Athletic Director Philip Hutchison, the Associate Athletic Director Brent McMillan, Director of Sports Communication Kirk Downs, and Baseball Communications Director Jack Bloom. On behalf of my co-host Erica Plunkett, this is Doc Allen saying thanks for your time this time, and till next time, so long. You've been watching Lipscomb Bison's Baseball on YouTube.